happy as you did tonight. I can't remember the last time you looked as happy as you did tonight. Your tipsy friend grabbed that bartender, gave him a phone and pulled us over there with her. He counted to 3, and baby, I haven't seen that side of you in forever. And I hate it's the truth, but baby, you never do when we're alone together. It was good to see you smile.
You're muted, by the way.
Girl, you know
I know.
it's been a while. It was good to
Where the hell is Gorps?
see you smile. Even
I
if it
don't know.
was just for the picture. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but you ain't said one since you woke up. Silly me, thinking we could make it work. Can you blame me for getting my hopes up? You know it took me right back to how it used to be. And baby, seeing us like that is still a little bittersweet. But it was good to see you smile. Girl, you know it's been a while. It was good to see you smile. Even if it was just for the picture. If someone were to see this, they'd think everything's alright. At least we got a pretty little moment frozen in time. It was good to see you smile. Girl, you know it's been a while. It was good to see you smile. Even if it was just for the picture. Even if it was just for the picture. There he is. There he is.
Yep. Yeah. You said you had to let him in. Yeah, is this how you plan all of your debates? More detailed than even I go into.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, usually I just I find sources to back up my position, and then write my opening statement, and then hold on to those sources in case anybody asks for sources. And then I usually like freeball the rest of it.
I have an opening as well, but I don't think I'm opening, so. Give me a sec. You know, debates aren't really about facts, though, right? So, much as I'd like them to be.
Yeah, it all depends
I think I
on-
actually have some closings in this, right? Yeah, there's a few closings there that I can choose from. And then the opening I wrote was 150 words, blocked, very quick. It was this. Put it in Discord, I guess. Where the hell's the chat? There it is. Chat right there, I guess. I usually separate it into 3 different things. And then I keep it really tight, really fast. Oh,
That's good.
you man.
So is everybody ready for this? Because we're gonna mop the floor with that. So
Yeah, check the side chat. He Gore Circa made a whole like outline for like roles and stuff.
and chat for this call.
Yeah, side chat.
Might have to re-put it in.
No, I can scroll back up in it.
Yeah, it's literally right above the opening statement you posted.
How much time did you spend on this, bro?
Not very long. Honestly, not that long.
Do you do this for all of your debates?
Mm-hmm.
I asked him the same question.
It's fun.
We got different definitions of fun.
Why no one likes me?
Okay, so speaker 1 would be me, so...
You don't have to follow this to a T. You
blah.
know what I mean? I think This is one that I have myself. I think I made it like yesterday. That I'll just give you guys as well if you want. And then there's also citations if you want those. You guys still have those ones, right? The citation one.
Yeah.
It's
we
long
have
though.
those.
I don't really expect you to go over that. But
Well, also in these debates, citations don't really matter. You can fucking lie.
well, they make you look.
Nobody's gonna fact check until after.
No, but you can. It's kind of like an inverse appeal to ignorance, right? If you can, as long as you can say something simple about each one, or you can say why it's important, it doesn't really matter, right? But it is a strengthening type of thing more than anything else. I don't really like appealing to citations too much, though. But
That's fair. Okay, so yeah, so this your speaker one thing, part of it is what I put in my opening. Basically, what I'm going to be talking about is um, that it would make political organizing, whether it be like activist shit or just politicians, it would make that illegal, and then you're just shoving everything behind closed doors because nobody
Yep.
wants to be open about.
Yeah,
Politics.
I was talking with Vigilante yesterday for that, and we that was something I didn't really think of until later in that.
Yeah, and then I was also going to talk about how it doesn't fix any issues. It just fucking continues on with the same shit. And
Yeah,
then
so
I was
you
gonna
can
say
use
if
the
voting will pay
psychology
more
stuff I was talking about for that.
for the actual voters. Okay.
So the SVO, SVO, and
and then
RWA are all
last point is
extremely
that the
research
voters'
stuff.
lives are harder, and that's okay.
It's essentially like the academic
Anno, who
side.
I know has done zero debate prep, so I'm not worried. Yeah, I got it. But I'm against Anno, and Anno and I were talking earlier today, and he's like, I have done no research, no nothing. So I think we're good. I think
Okay.
the only person on their team
I would
that's
say-
actually done research is Castle. The third person
Mhm.
sounds like they have a like emotional argument, not like a facts argument.
It'd be like an
So,
idealistic one. Yeah.
Oh, Hammer. Yeah, Hammer giving him idealistic argument on this is not surprising.
Yeah. So I think we're set.
Do you did he give you an idea of what order they're going in?
Well, I know Anno's first because we haven't done a debate against each other and we have been wanting to. And then I don't know the other two. I think if they're smart at all, Castle goes last because they're saying he's got the
Yeah, that's
best
what I was
argument.
thinking as well.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, what to do till then? I guess we could just hop into horses thing right now, right? Or in too early, I guess.
On a call
No, nobody's
Well,
In
if
your
we're
opening
prep-
though, just make sure that you say the legal argument in there as well. So,
Yeah, I have a whole paragraph written
cool.
out for the First Amendment shit.
because that one's like really hard to overcome, and then everything else is, I think, supplementary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. If we're prepped, I'm gonna go grab a bite to eat before we start, and then I'll meet y'all in the radish
Cool.
chat.
Am I breaking up when I talk at all? Because like everybody else is, my ping's like going back and forth on my end.
I think slightly. I can hear a slight chop just now.
Okay,
Well-
I might need to restart my router stuff before.
Roger, I'll be here.
Hold on.
So you take what you want and who made you like this? Who encrypted your dark gospel in body language? Synapses set by blissful language. Tell me you met me in past lives, like past what might be eating me from the inside, darling. Half algorithm, half deity, glitches in the code, or gaps in a strange dream. Tell me you guess my future and it mapped onto your fantasy. Tell me into your mannequin and I'll turn you into my puppetry. Won't you come and dance in the dark with me? Show me what you are. I am desperate to know. Nobody better than a perfect enemy. Digital demons make the night feel heavenly. Keep it real, 'cause anything's better than the way I feel right now. I can offer you a Berkeley paradise. Diamonds in the trees, pentagrams in the night. Lipstick, curtain chills, red flags, pink nails. With one eye on the door, other eye on a rail. Other eye following a scarlet trail. At the last few drops from the holy grail. Now rose gold chains, replaced cut glass, blood stains, and the color means just don't ask. Be the first to the feast. Let's choke on the past and take to the broken skies at last.
There's the volume going up and down. So annoying.
Diamonds in the trees, pentagrams in the night.
What volume is going up and down?
Working.
I know what you want from me. You want the same as me. My redemption, eternal ascension, setting me free.
There we go.
So you'll take
What
you want, then leave.
is happening? Oh, it's Discord attenuation. Is that what it is? Oh.
Is your Discord
Yeah,
fluctuating as well?
it's Discord attenuation. That's what it is. What the fuck is it?
So it's not on my end.
Fucking
Not
pissing me off.
the Discord.
There it is. No attenuation. Yeah, fuck. What time is it? On a mission from God. Now you're here, acting like you're tough. Like motherfucker, bro. Let's see. Let's go to Hotbox real fast, okay? The horse radishes. Hola.
Ah!
Oh my.
Oh,
Fucking Jesus Christ.
Hey, real quick, Circa. So, if it is all right with you, would you be okay with? I know you're going to be streaming tonight as well, right?
Yeah.
Are you good with streaming under something other than politics for the night?
I'm in just
Either
chatting right now.
podcast- You're in just chatting. All right, perfect. Because I was going to say, whenever we're doing the stream together, if we're both under the same category, we're side by side, and it's a bad idea. I like to cycle myself between just chatting, politics, and podcasts. So if like we're all kind of like, well, because I know Leafy's going to be there as well, and I was going to say if you were under podcasts, I know it sounds, but we're all chasing some numbers, you know what I mean? And that way we've got more like a better chance of getting better coverage. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like if you and Leafy are both under just chatting, you guys are going to be able to elbow, and people are going to be like, which one do I click? So it's like it's better for us to fish in different ponds. That's my thoughts, but
Your thoughts are good.
just what I've seen so far.
Your thoughts are good. Yep.
And welcome in. Thank you both for being here on fucking time. That is always awesome.
I tried.
And good evening, Vigi. Are you there? Can you hear us?
yep, I'm here.
Very cool. We'll get y'all to your audios tuned in here in a second. I'm just getting my own last minute shit real quick.
Peace out, monkey.
Camera, virtual camera. Okay, that's what we wanted. And share my face.
Song is so fucking hard, dude.
Let's go. All right.
Oh my god, the computer's dead.
I actually have some music I was gonna send you earlier, Circa, but I was like, he's got his own metal to listen to. But if you're ever interested, check out a band called Clutch, especially their older shit. It is by far my favorite band and some of the best metal I think
I know Clutch.
ever heard, because I'm a big lyrics guy. Like, yeah, I like the music.
I know
as well,
Clutch.
and riffs are important. You know Clutch.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Really? Say less, big guy. Like I'm kind of a simp. Like I am probably too big of a fan of the band. Welcome in, Kay. Welcome in.
Oh my god.
Only a little bit.
Huh?
But I took a nap, so I should. Still no word?
None. Zero.
Why let
I
you
submitted
try to hide? That
a
doesn't fucking lie.
custom claim ticket to see if I can get any. I looked it up and people were saying that you usually immediately within like the first hour, like it should pop up
Underneath?
and you should
Yeah,
get an
what-
email.
oh, yeah.
I got
You know you could do that.
absolutely nothing.
What?
So,
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, that is weird. Have you actually tried logging into Twitch and had problems? Like,
that's how I found out.
The trash can.
yeah, that's just.
Oh. Oh my god, it went right.
It displays
It's
the
learning.
message that directs you to the, like, when you try to log in.
That sucked. What the fuck is that? Oh, you suck. You love me, send my life on fire. You burning in my face. Gotta keep all these stress. Baby, it's living out good.
I like it. I approve.
Oh my god, I've got so much lag on my fucking mouse right now. Oh shit! You hate this game.
Name it.
Oh,
We have an actual. We have single prompt tonight, so that's gonna be nice and easy.
help! I need heals. I need a shield.
I
Shield.
assume that everybody saw the.
Do
the
be
new
like, oh
format.
my god,
Does
you're the
anybody have
best.
Any questions?
Thank you. What a nice man.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
My Discord keeps like freezing. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Wait, where's
Warm it up, buddy.
That's a good
This
idea.
needs to be.
Give it a blink.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
So I wanted to mention something. As we're just starting out here, by the way, everybody, I am live, so don't say
Hi.
slurs.
Hello, live. Pleased to meet you. I try to avoid those no matter what. Go on.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Feel like it's
Tomorrow
just
is the-
good way to be.
Tomorrow's a very big day, and I hope you guys know there is only one correct opinion to have tomorrow,
Oh,
And that
because
is- to be rooting for the Seahawks.
oh my god.
Oh my god.
Are you all gussy?
Scare me.
up in Seahawks? You sure are.
I was AFK.
Jesus
Mhm.
Oh.
Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I already have one. Thank you, though,
I'm
man.
It's
wearing
okay,
this
buddy.
tomorrow too.
It's okay, buddy.
Number
I agree
one.
with you that the Seahawks are the only correct opinion.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would say that the only correct opinion is to not fucking watch foosball or whatever.
Also, the only correct opinion is to be against the removal of political parties, but
Yeah, we'll see about that. Doink, doink. Sorry, I'm still kind of mouth breathing.
I'm still kind of mouth breathing.
Words matter. Duck, duck. Go.
I should just extract now, right? It's probably pretty close.
Politics tonight.
It is I, Cornelio. No one get that?
Almost no viewers. Fucking 88 people in all of politics.
that means you can take them all.
I
Stream
will destroy them.
When I stream
Say
in
what again?
politics, I always
No!
when I stream in politics, I always end up being the.
What happened to you?
Channel.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Do you stream as well, Vigi?
I do. I
didn't-
mean, I'm not live right now.
Oh my god, they're all dead.
I did know that. Oh, I just got a weird like echo. Echo. Oh, it's gone now. It's not weird.
No. No.
Welcome
What
in,
the
Hammer.
fuck is that? What is it doing there, dude?
There's Chief. We got 2 more coming in.
Oh my god.
And
But-
hello, Castle.
Should I try it? Dude, we're doing it.
So
We're
you
doing
guys
it.
did get some debate prep going. Y'all at least touched base before this.
No, I've never talked to these people in my life.
Oh my god, it didn't work.
What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, well,
Alright.
that didn't work.
Anyway.
I don't fucking know what I expected, man.
Yeah, see, I'm hearing myself again. Why am I hearing myself? But now I don't hear myself. Say something with me at the same time, Digi. I am talking while you are, and we are going to see if I hear
Hi.
myself talk while
How
you're
are you?
talking. Yep, I can hear myself talking when you're like, that's weird.
Probably my
Yeah,
gain. It
see,
was
I
up a
heard
little
weird
bit more than.
Maybe that's
it was probably.
0 health.
Just one more thing while we're waiting.
Rubber. We have rubber.
It's bacon.
Anything going to rubber? You? No.
I just had Band-Aids.
Just
I don't have anything that goes in the rubber.
Bacon at 6 p.m. on a Saturday.
Fuck yeah, that's the life, bro. Don't judge.
My girl. My
Oh,
girlfriend
rubber.
just brought me
Go.
dinner,
You kosher or
and
something?
she made breakfast for dinner.
Okay, I'm-
There you go.
Oh,
I gotta fix my
that's kind of sus.
biggest pain in the dick. A streamer and see. Trying to get this
Hola.
shit done. Extreme card. That's that one. Hey, that's better.
Hey, Gort, the Super Bowl's tomorrow, buddy.
I love hearing fucking.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna
Don't tell him that.
Right.
You like the Seahawks, or are you ready for the Patriots?
I'm not sure. A little bit on the fence, you know.
Yeah, I figured. I couldn't tell. It's hard, you know. Everybody's on the fence these days.
Moderates.
Well, that's just
People
because they
write
haven't
harder
chosen a
than
political
others.
party.
That's right. You know, people aren't on the fence on that, though. They do not want to.
That is correct.
I'm gonna
Well,
help
at
this
least
guy out.
one of the moderators agrees with you. Welcome in, Lethe. Welcome in.
Give
Of
a
course,
fuck.
Cass.
Do both moderators agree with my outfit, by the way?
Absolutely.
Y'all are the important ones.
I'm already deducting points for it.
I was talking to my wife, and before I got dressed in this, and I was like, I'm really banking that neither one of the judges is Patriots fan.
If,
Heck
if
yeah, brother.
our judges are going to judge you based on how you're dressed, then I need better judges.
We're judging
What
you, it's
can
just
I-
not related to the debate.
Yeah, what physical things can I judge them about?
What's that noise?
Oh, well, the face, the
Wait, what are we
glasses,
doing?
the hair,
Why are we
everything
making
else is
noises?
perfectly fine and open.
What happened?
Welcome in there, then.
Christ.
Oh,
yeah,
you're just making it worse.
Yeah, just the clothing.
Judy.
The clothing is unacceptable. That's,
Judy.
That is a properly protected characteristic.
You look like
Alright.
you're ready to get in a fight at a stadium.
He does. He does. So, yeah. The only time I've ever gone to a
Oh, I
football
just
game
fucking fell all the way down.
went full ham, and it actually
Oh.
worked. Is
What in the-
I've ever given a shit about, because it's the only place
Why?
I've ever lived where I actually lived in a place where the team played, which was in Detroit. But if you root for the Detroit Lions since Barry Sanders left, you're basically just
That thing's a little slow, I think.
you're just screaming into the dark. So that said,
I was already like a mile
tried
away
to
from it.
razz our team up, and it was the last time I remember, or the only time in the time that I was young, that they actually made it to the fucking playoffs. Nothing past that. Like they got out the very first game of the playoffs, but it was our fault for painting our faces that they made it to the playoffs. Fan lives
Lions made
matter.
it to the playoffs going recently.
Say what? Oh,
The-
you know,
the
I don't
Lions have made
watch
it to the
I don't watch
playoffs
the
going
football
recently.
anymore. Yeah, I believe that. I couldn't tell you a single thing about any of them. This was. back
They're
in
actually
the 90s.
last year they were one of the best teams in the league, and then fucking bombed out, and then turn around this year, and then they're just ass again.
Yeah. No, well, and that's what any Lions fan would expect. So it checks out. Totally fine. Nothing to see here. Well, I'll tell you what, Lethe is not actually going to lose this debate since Lethe is judging. Lethe is going to win the fuck out of this debate. All right, so we got everybody in here. I am indeed. Yes, I am. And I will send you. I'm just fixing to. I've got 100,000 things. Well, maybe it's more just like 10 things, but it's a lot of fucking things that I got to try to
Please
get.
apply your virtual cameras now.
Yes, please apply your virtual cameras. Thank you, Chief. Let's see. Yes.
I was warming up my food. My bad.
What you eating for dinner? What's on the menu?
I made a pot of beef curry.
Oh, fucking snap. Give me these.
We want virtual cameras.
Just no. Any camera is fine. It's just a matter that we want to make sure that we can see something there, so it puts you in the right place. Although I guess because Castles should be in the top row right now, but isn't.
You got the rice and peas, bro.
Yes.
It's just rice. Japanese curry. It's Japanese curry. There's no peas. But I've never made
It
beef
always
curry.
it
Usually
weirded
it's
me
pork
out
or
when I found
chicken.
out that some red beans or peas, culturally dependent.
Oh.
Like I always heard it as red beans and rice, but then rice and peas is also the same thing.
Well, you can get away with that. I just wouldn't do
I
it.
guess, yeah. I don't like it, but I just abide.
Lethe and Gorps, both of y'all have received the invite for the stream together. This is awesome. We're gonna get started early. Shit, we're gonna get started before all the viewers have trickled in. People are gonna get here halfway through and be like, "What the fuck did I miss?" That's all right. That'll encourage them to watch them. All right.
Can't
That's
get
it.
here earlier next time.
How do I get this to go into my chat? I don't miss it.
Set an alarm for the horseradishes debate stream.
Make a little.
And speaking of the VODs, I just wanted to say, and I don't know if this is out of form or not, but I want to make sure that everybody who's involved in these knows that I have started doing 2 different cuts that I release on YouTube. There's the full, all of the debates with the judges and the moderator talking and everything, but I cut it before we go to the after party. And then I've also been doing what I'm calling just the facts, where it's just the 2 debaters talking. I take out all other superfluous stuff, except for the parts where with the Q&A, because you have to hear the question to know what the fuck you're answering, right? But the point is that I'm doing that specifically so that if y'all want to react to it on your own streams, you can react to any of the debates, and you don't have to listen to anybody else bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You can just listen to the 2
Are you
debaters
talking about your
yell
YouTube
at
videos you
fucking
just did? Because
insult them.
it was edited really well.
Yes, sir.
It was awesome.
Thank you very much. I've been practicing the fuck out of it. So anyways, but yeah, so like I said, whenever you guys feel free to use these debates on your stream to yell at and fucking insult, like I said, and relitigate, et cetera, so it's kind of why I'm doing that second edit instead of just leaving it up in its entirety.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those and I'm going to make an entire series called Why Gorps is Wrong. And just cut it completely out of context, make sure people understand.
Do that. Yes, I support this decision. And for what it's
Somebody
worth,
cut
if
back
y'all...
to that after we win this debate.
Oh, shots
The meme's gonna be like clipping my friend Gorps until they realize I made this account.
Which is what I was just about to say. That's the other thing, is if y'all come across any good clips or whatever, please by all means clip that shit, because I always feel weird saying, "Ooh, that was a really smart thing to say," and I'm doing so much other fucking editing. I don't have time to really go through it with a fine-tooth comb. I try to while it's live, click the little clip that button, but I also miss it half the time. So
The last one was you saying 6'7", right?
Yes, that was somebody else got that. Yes, thank you very much for that emoji. Anyways. All right. So, Lethe and Chief, before we kick this off, before I read our little intro, were y'all able to prepare some questions like I asked? If not, it's no big deal. You just try to get questions during it. But I'm curious because this is the first time I've ever asked the judges to do any sort of prep work. And
You like half-assed us to do that, and I work best under pressure on the fly.
That works for me.
Same here.
Same for you, Lethe. Yeah.
We talked about Magic
I
the
had a hunch.
Gathering is what we did.
I had a hunch that I was the only fucking tryhard who would actually write out questions in advance, and then I bet I'm probably not going to use those questions because one of y'all is going to use that question, and then I'm going to have to come up with my own questions improv, and so yeah, that's fine. I want to try that for tonight. I want to try it with the new format, but if it doesn't work out, or if people, I'm going to look for feedback afterwards. I think this is going to be better. I think everybody's going to like this. I think it's going to save a lot of hassles, headaches, and problems because we're getting completely rid of the 6 people trying to talk at once. Was kind of the biggest goal and the biggest takeaway from this. Going to make it so that we have an extra minute during the crosstalk, so that way there's like the order that you guys pick is going to be a little bit more important, and because whoever you're pairing is going to be going against each other, right? So, and then also, like I said, it's going to make it so that we don't have so many people trying to get their words in. Everybody will have the clock. And then for the 1v1s, I'm going to do something similar, but I'm going to have more timed responses. I think that was actually Kay's suggestion, if I'm not mistaken. It was either Kay or Pete. Either way, all of this has been changes being made because other people thought it would be swell, and I agreed with them. So anyways, all right. Well, looks like we are just about ready to get started. So let's fucking go. Everybody is ready. Everybody is here, and everybody has to listen to me babble for a second. If I can find it. Where the fuck is it?
Where's my note cards?
Where's my notes? I'm looking. Where's my? I need my teleprompter. I need my teleprompter. Where's my teleprompter?
And in conclusion, oh shit.
Fuck it. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Demilitarized Zone. We are here to help you feel better about engaging Our goal here is to teach Discord survival tactics, not just farm, gotchas, and dunks. We cultivate meaningful, intelligent conversations where you have to stop and listen to the other person, even if it is just to find the flaws in what they are saying. So at least for tonight, please check your weapons at the door, take notes, act like grown-ups, and refrain from the blood sports and shit-slinging that have plagued our politics for far too long. Our audience does get a say here, though. There will be a link in the chat at the end of the debate where you can vote for your winning team. Please, by all means, exercise your domestic rights, your democratic rights. It is completely free, and decide which side you think made the most persuasive case. So, sit back, relax, and listen up. Somebody here is probably going to change your mind tonight. We're going to introduce our debaters and judges, starting from, we're going to start with the top center because that is the team captain for the affirmative. That is Kay. To his left, we have Castle, and to his right, we have Hammer. Castle and Hammer, my favorite combo. Down here in the bottom left in the center is Let's Chief, our first judge for the night, and smashing that curry in the middle is Lethe, our second judge. I'm over here just gonna be the one emceeing. In the bottom left corner, we have Gorps, the team captain for the negative side. And in the bottom center, we have Circa. In the bottom right, we have Vigilante, also smashing Lethe's curry. Actually, I'm just kidding. He's eating bacon. He's a cannibal. So, carnivore. So, with that said, we are going to be having a slightly different format from what we've done in the past. We're going to be doing more back and forths and having planned questions from the judges instead of the typical open center time. So I'm not going to bother putting the entire thing onto the screen so you guys can see it. Just know that it's going to go open, then cross, then open, then cross, then open, then cross, and it is going to be the captain's decision what order everybody goes in. I actually don't need to know who goes when yet, but once the debate starts, just be prepared, Captain, to tell us who you're putting in next. So, if anybody has any questions, raise your hands. No hands, no hands. Huzzah. Then, in that case, let's go ahead and get our prompt up on the board. Tonight's prompt is America. Hang on. Tonight's prompt is America. Oh my God.
True or false?
Stop it.
America,
Thank you.
true or false?
America, true or false? Is America
False.
should get rid of political parties. Now,
Give it one more
we
read.
actually didn't have any haggling over the prompt this week, which is kind of interesting. So I'm hoping that everybody speaks fluent English and understands the prompt.
Because
clearly.
Ancom isn't here.
But shots fired. He's not even here to defend himself. For what it's worth, Ancom could not make it. Welcome in, Casey. We are going to get Casey back into these debates here soon, hopefully. So, all right. I've got 3 minutes on the clock. Kay, yours is the opening team on the affirmative. Who is going to be your first debater?
That would be me.
Kay is going to open for the affirmative. There's 3 minutes on the clock for you right now, Kay. If you are ready to begin, everybody, then go ahead and start talking. Clock will start with.
All right. September 17th, 1796. George Washington, we all knew it was coming. The father of our country laid out the warning in his farewell address. Political parties may now and then answer popular ends. They're likely in the course of time and things to become potent engines by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and usurp for themselves the reins of government, destroying afterwards the very engines which have lifted them to unjust domain. While not every word that Washington says is gospel, I would like to think that we should heed this warning and take extra care and examine it, especially with the hindsight of the last 229 years, to see if it has lived up. Now, more than ever, it has become clear that political parties have a stronghold over our democracy and has a hand over its throat. They act as gatekeepers, filtering candidates and ideas, so you must be politically gridlocked, voting for what people would call the lesser of two evils. Now, we've heard that more than ever before. So let's take a look at what that looks like. 45% of Americans are identified as independents compared to the split of 27% Republican and 20% Democrat. Despite this, 0 out of the 435 House representatives are independent. Only 2 out of 100 senators are independent. That is 0.37% of Congress, representing 45% of Americans. And only 17% of these Americans trust the government to do what is right. On the other hand, local government trust sits at 67%. That's interesting. Let's look into why that is. It seems that 96% of elected officials are local elections, and roughly 80% of those local elections are through. It's interesting because 96% of elected officials are from those local elections, and 80% of those elections are through nonpartisan elections, meaning there's no R and D next to the name that makes them inform their decision, meaning that they have to run off of policy, removing the uninformed and voter going up and clicking for their team, making candidates actually have to compete in the marketplace of ideas, generating a more representative democracy for Americans. Today, I hope that we can flesh this out through my other teammates here and have a good conversation and talk about how the future of America could look without this party system corrupting the roots of this house. I end my time.
Gorps, who's going to cross-examine Kay?
I will.
All right, Gorps, you are up. I have 3 minutes on. This is a back and forth conversation, although it will be directed by the questioner, which is you, Gorps. So go ahead and start asking questions, and feel free to have a conversation in that 3 minutes. Start when you're ready.
All right, I'm going to start with a question Radish didn't want us to discuss here, which is how do you define a political party? You know, or K.
Yeah. So a political party is generally so there's outwards politics and inwards politics. It's a group of people, typically a committee that runs campaigns, manages finances, and seeks to get candidates placed on ballots or uphold the positions that they already have via control of the government to maintain control of the government.
So there's no socialist party in America? There's no libertarian party?
Libertarian
Is
Party is
that's
on the
what you're saying?
ballots, and the socialists they are, and they do have access to ballots. It's few ballots, but they
Yeah.
do have access to ballots.
So any party that can get on the ballot, that can get on a ballot, now or in the future, would be a political party. Yes.
As long as they meet the criteria of that they're running campaigns, managing finances, nominating their candidates, and seeking to access control of the government.
Hey,
Yes.
Gorps, do you mind if I ask him a question?
Okay.
Not right
Is that
now.
allowed?
Okay.
No.
Would you consider DSA a party? DSA specifically.
I don't. Who is the DSA specifically?
Democratic Socialists of America.
Oh, sorry, that's not the one that I know of. Uh, I don't know of them, so I can't answer.
Okay. We'll move on from that. Do you think that it is legal to abolish these parties?
You could do it within legal means. Yes.
Could you? Because what you end up doing is violating the First Amendment rights of every single American citizen. So I'll ask again, do you think it's legal
Yes, there's legal methods.
to violate the First Amendment?
You don't have to violate the First Amendment. One, you can make constitutional amendments. The Constitution is a living document, and built into a living document is the ability to change. And second off, the freedom of association doesn't explicitly have to rely off of political parties. It could be through political action groups, idea based coalitions, and interest groups.
It could be, but you're removing a method. Are you not? You're removing a method of association.
Correct.
Okay, so you're violating the First Amendment.
Sorry, just because
how-
wait. In the Second Amendment, don't we have like regulations on firearms?
We violate the Second Amendment as well as a country, and we should stop doing that. But
Sorry, do you
that's
think
a,
you
that's a
could yell
separate
fire
issue.
in the
How
theater,
how
or-
would you enforce
Okay.
this? What would the penalty for a violation, for example, be?
Go ahead and answer
I
that,
think
Kay, and then we're gonna go.
Okay. I think the main way that we can enforce it, since it's a nonviolent crime, would be through removal from ballot access and or just in general the prevention of the government from actually upholding and the political parties, because they wouldn't exist without the upholdings of the government. So if they just simply do not enforce it, then it no longer becomes a political party.
All right. So I've got 3 minutes on the clock now for you, Gorps. It's going to be your opening. Go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
All right. To start with, political parties are voluntary associations of people who share political beliefs. The First Amendment protects exactly that, the right to speak, assemble, and to organize around shared ideas. You can't ban people from forming political groups without banning their ability to speak collectively. Abolishing parties would require the government to police political association itself, which is the opposite of a free society and against the First Amendment. If the solution to political frustration is let's restrict the people's ability to organize, it's not reform, it's regression. Second point is that even if you could get past the First Amendment violation, which you can't, abolishing parties doesn't actually solve the issues that people complain about. Corruption, polarization, and the gridlock that my opponent mentioned aren't caused by the existence of parties. They're caused by the underlying incentives, money in politics, media ecosystems, winner take all elections, and at its very core, human nature. If you remove parties, those incentives don't disappear. Politicians will still form alliances, voting blocs, and informal coalitions. They'll just do it behind closed doors, without transparency, without labels, and without accountability. Parties at least make these political alliances visible. Abolishing them does not eliminate those factions. Thirdly, uh, abolishing political parties makes it harder for everyday Americans to even cast their ballot rather than being easier. Parties serve as informational shortcuts. Most voters don't have the time to research hundreds of individual candidates and individual issues every time an election comes around. Party labels help people identify and understand a candidate's general worldview, priorities, and policy tendencies. Without that, the voters are left with a ballot full of names and no meaningful way to distinguish them. That doesn't empower voters, it overwhelms them. The people who benefit most from a no party system are insiders, activists, and wealthy candidates who can afford to build personal brands. The people who lose are ordinary voters who rely on clear, accessible information to make decisions. So the question isn't, are political parties perfect? They're not. The question is whether abolishing them fixes anything. It doesn't. It violates constitutional rights, fails to address the real sources of political dysfunction, and it makes democratic participation harder for the average person. If we want better politics, the answer isn't to ban people from organizing. The answer is to improve transparency, reform incentives, and strengthen the system, not to eliminate one of the core ways Americans exercise their political freedoms. Thank you.
Good stuff. 3 minutes is now on the clock. Who is going to cross-examine Gorps, K? Who's going next?
Am I allowed to cross-examine him to keep it between us on this section, or?
Nope. Nope. You got to call on
Okay, so
somebody
it
else.
has to be
one of your
somebody else?
teammates.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, cool. I'll call on to Castle.
Castle, you are up, buddy. Go ahead and take your 3 minutes there. Cross-examine Gorps as you see fit. You're muted, just so you know.
You're muted.
The clock will start when I can hear you.
Sorry, should be good now. So Gorps, you mentioned that if we got rid of political parties, it would prevent or if it would ban people from participating in the system. What did you mean by that?
I said it would ban them from organizing because at a certain point, any group of people of a consistent political ideology becomes a political party. That means everyday organizing, people like the DSA, the PSL, even like TPUSA would be political parties. You're banning them from organizing in this way.
Do you so you think that without an actual party that it would be impossible to organize? You couldn't have people funding a
Well,
campaign.
if you go back to my actual definition, political parties are voluntary associations of people who share political beliefs. So, yes, you would not be able to organize without a political party.
But if you have the same political beliefs as somebody and you donated to them, let's say like as an individual, how would that not be funding somebody who you support with certain beliefs?
That's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like voluntary associations. I'm talking about like organized people together. That would not be able to happen.
Okay. You also said that you wouldn't be able to, well, I guess if you have certain parties running, and let's say you have smaller parties that are kind of thrown out of the wayside, like if you have a smaller conservative party or a freedom party, for example, and we got rid of all political parties, they would be affected. Do you think that them not being able to organize gives them a less of a chance of winning or a better chance of winning if it were not denominational, for example?
I don't think it really matters their chance of winning. The problem is that in that scenario, when we're talking about people's chances of winning, you have an uneducated voter base that doesn't even know what they're voting for in the first place because they have no ability to distinguish between these people. We all know the majority
Okay,
of
so
voters are uneducated and don't know what they're talking about.
if people are informed now, and you also
They're not
mentioned
informed now.
the
They're
const.
not informed now. They're guided by the parties.
Well, how would you? So if
They're informed.
you're guided by the parties, then wouldn't you say that the parties have control of who gets elected? They can just spread the message on who's the better
Well,
candidate. It wouldn't be
a
up to the
party
people.
has control on who they put on the ballot. Yes.
All right, I would say that's kind of a concession, but I'll end it there for my questioning.
Okay. 3 minutes is going to be on the clock now for you, Castle, for your opening. Start it when you're ready.
Cool. So I would just start out and say that this isn't about, people arguing if whether something is legal or not, or how we're going to get rid of political parties, or if it's the perfect system, but more so, or I should say, how we are getting rid of political parties, because we know the Democrat and Republican parties run an oligopoly over every other party in the country. So I would say it's a little bit disingenuous to say, "Oh, what about the poor third parties on the ballots that will get affected by this?" Because by eliminating them, would argue that the folks who support third parties will now have a better shot of getting their preferred policies into a chamber of Congress. So I would say that America prides itself on being a democracy built on independent thought, debate, and representation. And our political system today is dominated by the two private organizations that were never mentioned in the Constitution or were explicitly warned against by the founders themselves. And political parties no longer organize ideas; they're essentially there to enforce loyalty and to fundraise. They reward obedience over judgment and punish anybody who thinks outside the party line. The lawmakers themselves are pressured to vote within their team, even if they know a policy is flawed, because crossing the aisle risks losing funding, committee positions, or their next election. That's not representation, in my view. It's basically a brand controlling their management. Parties also hardwire polarization into our system. Every issue becomes a zero sum battle, not because compromise is impossible, but because compromise is treated as betrayal. When one party wins, the other must lose, even if our country does too. Governing becomes less about solving problems and more about defeating the other side. And as voters, we've been conditioned to stop evaluating ideas altogether, and party labels act as shortcuts. If my party supports it, it must be good. If the other party supports it, it must be bad. And democracy shouldn't run on tribal loyalty, it should run on informed choice. Worst of all, political parties suppress better leadership. They gatekeep who can run, who gets funding, and who gets heard. Many of the most capable, ethical, and pragmatic people never make it on the ballot because they refuse to pledge ideological allegiance. So ending political parties wouldn't just eliminate disagreement, but it would eliminate the artificial teams that turn disagreement into dysfunction. It would force candidates to stand on their ideas, lawmakers to build coalitions issue by issue, and voters to think instead of root. If democracy is meant to represent people, not parties, then it is time to move past them. And that's all I had.
Okay, who's going to examine Castle? Who's going to? Nope, I'm sorry, Gorps. My bad. Sorry, buddy. Gorps, who's going to cross-examine Castle?
I believe that would be Vigilante.
Yep.
Vigilante, you have been called to the plate, sir. 3 minutes is going to be on the clock for you now. Go ahead and start it when you're ready.
Yeah. So first things first, I'm going to address the last thing that you said. What would be the difference between a coalition and a party?
So I would say that a party right now has an actual well, right now they have elected leadership. A coalition could just be a group of people with a similar idea or a similar goal in mind. They don't actually have an elected leader position, or they don't have ways to fundraise the same way, or have certain established donors, people of that nature. They're basically people who believe in the same thing.
Yeah. So without political parties, how do you expect that people would get elected?
Um, so essentially, right, you can still raise money on your own. You can have a website to get on a ballot. There are a certain amount of signatures that you would need to get on a ballot. I don't think that the way to get elected changes. You could argue that it's harder for people to fundraise from it. But again, that's a skill that all politicians usually have, is learning how to fundraise and how to make money. So I don't think that would stop anybody in particular, unless you're just bad at that and organizing. But yeah.
Yeah. So what becomes illegal the day after your plan passes? Does endorsing a slate? Does coordinating messaging, fundraising, uh, only printing on a party label, or only printing a party label on the ballot?
Sorry, my mic kind of, or my ear kind of, your headphone kind of went out. But did you say what makes it illegal?
No, what would become illegal? Like endorsing a slate, coordinating messaging, fundraising, or just printing the label on the ballot.
What would become illegal? I don't feel like this system would have anything to like believe on what would be legal or illegal, right? You're kind of opening it up to everybody in this case. So there isn't an exact established rule here on how to fundraise or who you can endorse or who can endorse you and so on and so forth. So I'm not sure. I don't think that there's an illegality here.
So it would just be removing the label on the ballot. It wouldn't change anything else about the system.
Not that I can think of. I mean, unless you have a certain thing in mind, let me know. But I don't think it would be illegal.
So you don't do you have any idea of how you would remove political parties?
So you're asking so your question about removing parties as they are established today, if that would be illegal or not. Is that different from what you were just
No,
asking before? Because
it's a little bit different. How would you remove political parties? I'll rephrase it.
Nope. Go ahead and answer that,
okay,
Castle, and then we're going to call time.
yeah. So I kind of established it in my opening, but in terms of legality, I
How you
Holy
avoid
gone.
a question?
shit.
I
That
guess
was so.
I guess that's I guess
Ninja
that's how he's
vanish.
going to avoid it.
They killed him.
did I-
Killed him.
sorry.
Perfect way
I
to
don't
Wrong
know
avoid
what
button, buddy.
I don't know what just happened there. I
So,
got
as you were
hacked.
saying, can you ask the question again for us, real quick?
Yeah, hold on. Let me go back to where I was. Uh, so how would you go about removing political parties?
Yeah, so I think that's something that I was going to say. I mentioned in the beginning where I don't think that the prompt, we're not talking about legality here or the ways. It's if it would be a better way to have no political
I think the
parties.
prompt's pretty
Right
strict.
now, I'm sure. Well, the prompt didn't say would it be legal to do this. It would be should we remove political parties. I mean, I
You
don't
have to do
know all
something to
the
do that.
inner.
You'll get your turn in a second.
That's fine. I mean, I just think that's kind of a little bit different. But overall, if we're talking about the inner machinations of government, I'm sure that there are ways you can do it legally. I don't have them off the top of my head. So I would leave that to one of our other panelists to answer that more completely. But I'm just kind of arguing whether or not we should do it or not.
All right. So 3 minutes is on the clock now for you, Vigilante. Go ahead and open when you're ready.
Yeah, so removing political parties would create an unstable, exclusionary political environment. Parties are nothing more than a political coordination mechanism. Removing political coordination would be disastrous for the efforts of having a functioning government. Parties are just a visible layer of coordination. Removing them only raises the barrier for entry for being a participating voter. It, and it would also result in politicians seeking other means to get themselves elected. There'd be more dark money, more focus on endorsements, more focus on going on influencer podcasts and stuff like that, like Joe Rogan, even more so than what we already have now. And these things would have even more influence on who gets elected than it already does. Political parties give a layer of transparent coordination that allow voters to have a general idea of where candidates and their representatives fall on key positions. Without political parties, we would have we would still form pseudo parties in the form of coalitions, as people naturally group together based on in-group and out-group systems. Politics with or without parties will come down to which in-group has better organizing and funding. Without political parties, how well politicians can get things done comes down to how well people can network. Getting elected comes down even more to how much money and how good your connections are uh, in order to get your name out there to voters. We think it's a popularity contest now. It will be monumentally worse without parties. Parties are a means for people to get their name out there, get funding, and have a basic method of organization to get legislation passed. That's my opening.
All right. Good stuff. In that case, 3 minutes is on the clock. I suppose we only have one option left here, and that's Hammer, correct? So, Hammer, you are up for cross examination. Go ahead and hit him where it hurts.
Yeah, so you really harped on the fact that all the issues that we have in our political system would change. It would be more of a popularity contest. There would be more dark money. How would
Mhm.
any of that be more significantly impacted?
Yeah, so if you remove the means on which people get their name out there, which is political parties, uh, the reliance on people needing to get their name out there through means of like raising money through specifically like dark money, PACs and stuff like that, is going to uh, increase significantly. The need for people to get their name out there through influencers and going on the news is going to uh, increase significantly because you no longer have that basic mechanism of getting your name out there that is the political party. Because when we look at the facts, the majority of people in America, regardless, already just go and vote on party lines.
So can you give me examples of dark money? Like what
Dark
methods would they use to get to push for to give their dark money out, and what like sources would they get that dark money from, or to?
non the things that would technically qualify as dark money would be private companies, nonprofits, and political PACs would be the main things.
Okay, and you said that you said that people would try to get influence through like influencers and stuff and like popular media, right? Off like smear campaigns you might talk about. If you think that, why would they not do that now, even with our political parties?
They already do it now. The difference will be
Exactly.
the amount of focus that is put on it. So the big difference is that I accidentally muted myself. The institutionalization of it. Whereas like right now, you go on and you go on CNN, and you go on people like, uh, if you're on the right now, you go on like Joe Rogan. If you're on the left, there's a number of different people that you can go on from Kyle Kalinske to TYT. The focus on that is going to increase even more because you have to get your name out for people to recognize your name on the ballot.
Okay, here's the thing. We've heard it a million times during elections that they push for candidates based on their electability, right? How popular they are with voters. Nothing else matters. The RNC doesn't like Trump as a person, but he's electable, so they push him. So if going to influencers and doing these media campaigns is what gets you across to voters, then why wouldn't they do that with the RNC and the DNC systems in place now?
Again, they already do. The difference is the transparency of it. Like when we're talking about like parties, so without parties, they would effectively, uh, like I said, they would form pseudo parties or coalitions that are even less transparent than what we already have currently in government. So parties are a mechanism for transparency because we already get a loose idea of what people believe based off of which party they're running under.
All right, that's time. 3 minutes for you now, Hammer. Go ahead and open when you're ready.
Okay. The Trump presidencies have set forth the record for the most total government shutdown days in American history, with a total of 79 days out of the 5 years he has spent in the presidency so far. This means that we have entered a place where the Congress failing to do its most fundamental function is the new normal. Each time one of these shutdowns has happened, it has been preceded and proceeded by a partisan back and forth in the media, which rose to such a level that negotiations have become impossible. This has also become the new standard. Um, the mindset driven by the existence of political parties has been so corrupted by petty team sports conflicts that coming together and working towards the interest of the population takes a back seat. Voters hold positions based on their party lines, and moving them from these positions is impossible. Their rationality and better nature are set aside for loyalty. Politicians then represent those positions with little to no variation, causing further gridlock among possible positions that anyone can hold, both politicians and voters. This dynamic runs in counter to the one which our founding fathers had, where all involved in the government recognized and respected each other as allies in the pursuit of serving their country and its people. I would advocate for the disempowerment of political parties, both legally and within culture. I would advocate if we were to remove legal privileges that the Democratic and Republican parties have, we'd start to put forth politicians based on policy, and our cultural standards would change. And that is my opening.
Okay. Circa, it is finally your turn to cross. Go ahead and hit him.
What is that supposed to mean?
You've been chomping at the bit since we started, so
Yeah, I know.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I just want to ask you. I don't think. Are you aware of how people with common political ideologies cluster together to form political coalitions? As in, like, are you aware of the psychology behind this?
Yes.
So you know about the SVO,
I
the SDO.
I have my own opinions on why this happens.
Okay, that's great. So do you agree that psychology, and there's a lot of research on this, okay, shows that even if we try to remove political parties, they're going to happen naturally, correct?
To an extent, there will be more, probably like progressive and conservative.
No, it's
groups of
just,
people.
again, I need to know what your definition of a political party is. What is it?
So, a political party in our country is an establishment which is given both political and political privileges, and is built into the position to the
Like
way
state
that we
recognized,
elections.
or?
Yeah, state recognized.
Okay, so what about if it can fundraise? Not state
If it
recognized, but
can
can fundraise.
I mean, you can have official political parties and you can have independent groups fundraise.
Okay, I'm getting a really unclear answer from all three of you guys. Again, I'm going to defer back to the answer or the question that Vigilante said. What exactly would you change? What would you make illegal to get rid of political parties?
So I would. So the main thing is changing the way that political parties have control over our election system, right? So
Just
they can
institutionalized? You
control
want to
who,
deinstitutionalize them, or?
yes, deinstitutionalize them.
Okay, so you don't want to ban association, though, right?
No, I don't want to fully ban association.
Okay, so that's just cosmetic. That has nothing to do with the prompt. The prompt is very clear. The burden here is you have to prove that we need to remove political parties. That is not the prompt. That is not abolition.
Well, I mean, you can say it's just cosmetic, but the power that they have over the election system, and saying, well, the only people who can participate in the major election are people who are.
That's not answering my question. That's just something else.
Okay, what is your question?
My question again is,
Your exact question.
you're not actually, doing the
That's not the
prompt. The
question.
prompt, you have to. There's a burden of proof here. Since you're the affirmative, is you have to prove that we need to get rid of political parties. Right now, you're doing something cosmetic. That is very important right here.
Okay, that is a comment, not a question.
Okay, take the
So
comment.
What is your question? You asked me to directly answer your question. What is the direct question?
The question is, how are you actually going to remove political parties? And what you just said is not removing them.
By giving them, removing their official recognition in elections.
You're just removing labels.
All right.
I'm not saying that no groups of people can organize together.
I know. That's why I'm asking you. You're not doing abolition.
Circa, it is now. Hold on, everybody. Circa, it's now your time for opening. 3 minutes is on the clock for you. Go ahead and lay it all out for us, bud.
Sure. I just want to start with like a quick reality check. Okay. Get rid of political parties isn't a tweak; it's a ban on voluntary association. Okay, and that runs straight into the First Amendment. I don't think we heard a First Amendment answer yet for the question that we asked in the beginning. And honestly, that's not reform. Like I just mentioned, it's state control. So the question for the other side is simple: how do you erase parties without erasing freedom? That's the number one thing I need to hear. And even if you tried, people don't stop grouping. There's plenty of psychological research on this, mountains of evidence. Unless there's something that I have not heard, or something you have to the contrary, that would overcome things like the SVO, the SDO, and how people would just form coalitions and political parties, whether you wanted to ban it or not. And that means like neighbors, unions, churches, anything like that fundraise, right? State recognition alone is not, if you just get rid of that, but you can still allow some things to fundraise, you haven't solved the problem. Party labels are messy, yes, but they're also a low friction map for busy citizens. Remove the map and you don't get purity, you get more confusion. So the average barrier to entry for your average voter is going to be extremely high. It's unreasonable to assume that an individual is going to vote and care on an individual level or a hyper individual level. So naturally, again, you're going to see political parties form without, I'm sorry, when you even try to remove political parties. So I just want to say that there will be higher costs to participate, and then the shadow parties will get worse with transparency. And the reason for this is because the government requires transparency. The institutionalization of these political parties makes it so they require transparency. That is why you would get more dark money, like you mentioned earlier. Now, in group favoritism, in coalition forming, research and cooperation, SVO, SDO, authoritarian dispositions predicts this. And if you want trust across ideology, you address that psychology. You don't pretend it vanishes. That's my opening.
Well, then in that case, that means that Kay, it's your job to cross. Go ahead and finish this off.
Okay, yeah. You keep on saying that it's a First Amendment violation and that it wasn't addressed, but I think I remember directly saying that there is a legal way we can ratify the Constitution that is
You wanted to
legal,
change the
that's
Constitution,
doable,
then.
that's something that exists. Yeah, I mean, we have amendments. What do you think amendments are in the Constitution?
Okay, so that would solve the First Amendment only by changing it, okay? Which would dismantle core associational protections.
And I mean, that's also assuming that this is a legality case when this
It
is
is.
clearly a
There's Tasha Jean versus
question
Republican
of
Party of
should you do
Connecticut.
something, not whether it. But okay.
There's Tasha Jean versus Republican Party of Connecticut. There's EU versus San Francisco County Democratic Central Committee. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but
Legality equal what you should always do? Does legal mean you always should do something?
no, I never said that.
Okay, well then why are we having a conversation about the legality when we have already established there is legal processes?
So
we know
no, that's fine.
it
That's
can be
fine.
done.
Now
So the
let's
next
move
question is,
forward.
should we do it?
The next part
Yes, let's
is
move forward.
you have to tell me how you would do that. How would you do that without
Yeah,
ruining the
thank
First
you.
Amendment?
Okay, so Okay, yeah, I don't think it's a radical idea to solve the problem. There's a few things we could do. We could do non-partisan ballots. We
That
can
is not
prevent,
removing political parties.
Represented. You were asking me what this would do.
I
What do
need to
want me
hear you
continue?
say a way you would get rid of political parties, not like
It would get rid of political
like
parties.
ranked choice voting, bro. That's not the same thing.
Non-partisan ballots. I would get rid of committees associated between representatives that are because we vote in the representatives through outward politics with the coalitions and the PACs and stuff. It would prevent the inward forming of politics where like Democrats can form together in parties in
Okay, I heard you
Congress, in
say
the House,
inward and
and
outward
pretty much
earlier.
representative.
What are your
Yes.
definitions of that? Do you know what those two definitions mean, inward and outward politics?
Yes, outward is when the people push policy, push money. Inward is when sitting representatives and government officials push policy and push money around and so forth.
So political parties are coalition machines for both. You know that, right?
Yes.
It actually proves that they're not
Political
just
parties
a
can-
tribal label. So you're admitting that parties exist because coordination is hard in both areas, right? And the outward politics here is where
Could you reword that?
I said you're admitting that.
So coalitions exist for both, yes.
And that means no. You're admitting that there's coordination going on here. Political parties allow for strong coordination.
Yeah, it allows for coordination between.
So are you
people that
removing
are
political
wasting
parties
power
or are
and
you
using-
not? I'm confused.
Yes, I just said so. Coalitions outward coalitions aren't political parties. Political parties refer to the system in place
No,
to
outward
use
politics.
governance and legislature to elect sitting.
We were talking about outward politics and
All right, so-
and inward politics, but yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and jump on in there now. So that was interesting. That was a lot of back and forth from all of y'all. Great job. Those were the openings and the cross examines. I am hoping that the judges were taking notes like I was, and that the judges all have some questions here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth through the debaters in the same order that they just went, and we're going to hit them with a question apiece. That's one from Chief, one from Lethe, one from me. Uh, I'm not going to bother putting a timer on this part. I would rather you be able to complete your thought, but I will ask you to try to avoid monologuing too hard. The judges will be asked to watch for that. And I'm also going to advise you, don't try debating the judges. It's not going to go well for you. Just answer the questions they ask. So we're going to go to UK first. Now, I'm actually going to. I'm going to go first, if that's all right. If the judges are okay with that, I will ask my question first. Then I'll go to each one of y'all. And like I said, we're going to do each debater in turn. So as it happens, Kay, Circa stole both of my questions. But I don't feel like I got the answer that I wanted to hear from that second question that he asked you. So I'm going to ask you again.
Yes.
How would you implement a ban on political parties?
Yeah. So basically, you would outlaw and make it illegal and through code of ethics and legislation for sitting members to form committees within elected officials to form committees within House, Senate, and other government positions, and outlaw the use of those for them to coordinate money, power, influence to move power to influence elections to make sure that they keep on sitting or that a policy gets pushed. So basically, this would make it so the people that fundraise, push policy, and recommend it would be constituents, and that the people that can't do that would be already sitting there because we had already voted them in to sit there and represent us. If they start forming groups to do shit and use the government to prevent us from holding them accountable and electing somebody else, those committees are subverting the democracy and the representation. So it would ban that particularly. And if they engaged with that, they would be removed, fined, punished, the same way that any other code of ethics violation, or there would be a whole process.
All right, sounds good. So I'm going to go alphabetically through my judges, which I have to go to the fourth fucking letter to get to a discernment. Lethe, are you ready with a question for Kay, please?
I am. So, how do you maintain transparency in the case there are no established parties?
I mean, the same laws that we have now would apply to
Well, they would not.
candidates that are running.
Well, they
Right?
would
You would
not.
have to disclose where you're getting your money from. You would have to disclose who is funding your campaign. So if you run a campaign ad, oh, it was paid by so and so. This is where I got it. And just standard disclosures. The same regulations that apply now to parties can apply to individuals.
They do not.
Let's Chief. You're up. Go ahead and hit him with a question, please.
And you're open, you mentioned that 45% of Americans are independent, and then 27% are split Democratic and Republican Party. What if you got rid of political parties? How would you ensure the representation that you're looking for without those sort of labels?
Yeah, so it's not a guarantee of representation, just a better form of that likelihood that you would be represented, because obviously you could be like in the minority group, but essentially this causes people to have more grassroots local support for when they're running. They're going to have to go to action groups, interest groups, coalitions, schools and stuff, and start fundraising, getting the message out there, which means intrinsically they would have to have more local support in order to make it to a national stage. And because they're not because they're being elected directly from to represent what we want. So it's like, hey, we want you to go do X, Y, and Z. We're electing you based on those policies you ran for. And now with these new laws in place, they can't go behind and be like, "Hey, Mitch McConnell, hey, whoever else I want, like we're going to do X, Y, and Z that I didn't agree with." And pretty much they're going to have to eat shit because I'm going to run unopposed. Because remember, you won't run against me, and I won't. You won't run against me. We'll give you your turn when I step down, and I'll be the only opposition to the Republican Party, which they won't vote for because it's a blue state, or vice versa for red. So they would have to be held strictly more accountable because of the amount of people that can run and the amount of restrictions on their ability to pretty much rig staying in place.
Hey, good stuff. Gorps, looking over at you now. Going to give you 3 questions as well. I'll start once again. So, a theme from your entire team has been to discuss the First Amendment's rights to free association. Are there currently, to the best of your knowledge, any other groups in the United States that it would be banned or illegal to join? Any other groups, organizations, etc., that would be considered illegal to be a member of?
The only one I could think of would be like terrorist organizations.
Okay. So then there are examples of groups and parties and etc. that you are not allowed to, or that you are banned or forbidden under the First Amendment legally from joining?
Yeah, terrorist organizations, but I do also think that that's unconstitutional. But that's a different issue.
Okay. Lethe, question for Gorps, please.
Okay, so for Gorps, if in this case, political parties were to remain as they are, like in the sense that we currently have a situation where you have MAGA and then you have the Republican Party. You could make the case that MAGA is not the Republican Party. So, with that being the case, does this muddying of the waters create an undue hardship on voters in the same way abolishing parties would be in the first place?
Not in the same way. I think that you're right. There is kind of a distinction between MAGA and like a traditional conservative Republican. Um, but this is still less muddy than like having no parties at all. If you think about it, like you kind of know the general idea of what a Republican, whether it's a MAGA Republican or a conservative old school Republican, you have a general idea of where they're going to be and how that's different from the other people on the ballot because of the party that they're associated with. So there's still clarity there. It's not perfect, of course, but I also think that we should have more parties so that that is more specific, so that you can have a MAGA and then a Republican and then a Libertarian and a Democrat and a Socialist and throw a communist in there for fun.
Let's Chief. You're up, sir.
If we eliminated political parties, but still had grassroots organizations and interest groups and different smaller coalitions, would that maintain the freedom of association?
Well, it would.
Well, I think those would just take the place of the Democrats and Republicans now. So you would end up in the exact same situation, unless you're going to keep eliminating them. In which case, yes, you're still violating the freedom of association.
All right. Castle, you're now up. I will start once again. And it's funny because this kind of kicks off of what Gorps was just saying. So you were talking earlier in your opening about how getting rid of political parties would increase the likelihood of people's independence, actual policy wishes to be implemented. Would it not also accomplish that same goal or would that not also be accomplished by adding more parties as opposed to removing all parties?
Well, that's the problem is that not all parties are represented as equally. I think my argument is that the Democratic and Republican machines overpower third parties to the extent where anybody else is not viable. And that's why you have a two-party system that many people complain about, is because they feel like they aren't able to get specific policy prescriptions that they align with. They have to pick to, the next best thing for them.
Okay. Leafy. You are muted, my
So
friend. Okay.
if, oh yeah, I was forming the question. If both the parties are just oligopolies and this is all kayfabe, they're doing the exact same thing. What could legally be put in place, or what could be put in place to disincentivize this?
Abolish.
Yeah, so I think the question that keeps
Abolish.
popping up is like, how do you ban political parties? But that's not the prompt. That's not what we're proposing.
It
We're
says get rid.
proposing that political parties become obsolete enough through certain prescriptions, like removing legal privileges, ending
That is
ballot
not get
control, breaking
rid.
financial dependence, forcing
Word
candidates to
says
compete as
get
individuals. So
rid.
over time, this isn't going to happen in a day or a week or a month or a year. Over time, when you remove these things, political parties become more obsolete, and it opens up the framework for individuals to compete on a ballot level, right? And so over time this happens and people start getting elected based on grassroots organization and policies
Isn't that
rather than
just a party?
platforms or whatever the DNC says.
Oh,
And you'll start to see people vote for individuals over certain parties.
Let's Chief.
It kind of sounded like you were saying that lack of good fundraising for any politician would kind of be a skill issue, but with an added need for more individuals to be focused on fundraising, like would that be a good thing to have that added focus on the money, whereas the political party would kind of alleviate some of that pressure with some guaranteed backing?
Yeah, and again, I'll point back to my opening where I said it's not a perfect system, but I would say it's a better system because right now you're having political organizations like the DNC and RNC pick candidates based on who they prefer, and setting up money and fundraising for them through
not
Act
get
Blue
rid
or
of.
Win
The
Red.
prompt is get
So I
rid.
think if you had certain
Get
individuals or even
rid.
high spend or high earning individuals who support a grassroots candidate, I think that's a good thing. I know that obviously through money in politics isn't going to be overturned by the Supreme Court anytime soon. So as long as that's still in motion, I think that relying on people with money, if you're still somebody who is grassroots or lesser known and not in politics, it's better than having a party control you through those means, because then they can make you say certain things or do certain things rather than an individual who can't really control you at the same level. So I still think it's a better outcome.
Vigilante. Uh, during your opening, you one of the things that you said were beneficial about party politics was that parties give us transparent motivations. Do you believe that? Hmm, I'm going to assume that you're aware of the Satanist transgender person who got voted into office because they ran as a Republican. Why do you believe that parties offer motivational transparency if people can label themselves
Because they're
as any
institutionalized
party
by the
they
government.
choose to?
The government
Yeah, so I
institutionalizes
mean,
them.
there are definitely going to be some clear outliers whenever it comes to people running in certain areas for just to have the label to have a higher chance of getting on the ballot. Um, uh, I there was actually a point in time where I personally was in a very deep red district here in Ohio that I was going to run as a Republican because it would give me more. Um, transparency on ballot. Now, whenever it comes down to the actual political motivations of parties, parties always establish um, a party platform. The DNC does it, and the Republican Party do it. Um, the Republican Party is one for the most part. This past year was effectively just the Project 2025 agenda, even though they just reworded a lot of it. Um, it and then uh, the parties, the people who are actually part of the parties, are effectively meant to are strong armed, I should say, into following the party platform. You're going to have some party outliers. Like a great example of like a party outlier, at least when they first got into office, would be AOC, or like the whole squad for the most part, actually, where like a lot of the party alliance votes early on, they just kind of refused to participate. Because of their own, and they still do sometimes, because of their own personal agenda.
All right, Lethe.
Okay, so you made the argument that removing the parties would create chaos and destroy the coordinating factor on the visible layer where dark money and other things would be less transparent. In the case that an outside the party becomes hijacked by an outside interest, like say Palantir, or like you said with the Heritage Foundation, um, is it better to keep the parties in place or to push for a reform or removal of the party?
Form's fine, removal not.
It's better to keep the parties in place, because with the parties in place, you you can visibly see and understand that the party has been hijacked by these interests, whereas uh, without the parties in place, then you would have to um, basically look at each person individually and see if they've been bought off by um, the special interest groups like the Heritage Foundation. Now, it is obviously fine for us to reform the system in order to remove the ability for special interest groups like the Heritage Foundation to be able to have as much influence on the parties as they do, which I would argue would actually be uh, a better way to handle this than just to straight up remove political parties. Because without having political parties there as the mechanism for organization, you would effectively allow dark money interests like the Heritage Foundation to just bribe their way into influence of just each individual person who gets into office, versus having to force their way into control of an entire party.
That's Chief.
Um, Considering that, I think in the cross examination, you mentioned that there could be a fear without political parties of it becoming more of a popularity contest where networking could become more important than ideas. Um,
Mhm.
but, especially if we kept some of the regulation for transparency for the money in our politics in place. Like, would it not be an improvement if some of that networking and fundraising was more, localized and from the community?
It wouldn't necessarily cause it to be more localized, because you'd still have a lot of big money interests, like say Walmart, for example, going and funding campaigns in basically all over the country. You'd still have oil companies going and funding campaigns all over the country. Uh, the only thing that it would really get rid of is the clear, transparent method of them funding the uh, the campaigns. Because with the way that the transparency works now, the majority of the funding goes through either political PACs or it goes through parties. Whenever it goes through the parties in particular, um, all of the donor information is released directly to the public. Now, political PACs aren't really required to release their funding information, which is part of the problem. But that money goes in through the party is the when that's released to the public, that's the primary method of transparency on how we know where their actual funding is coming from.
Hammer, you're up. So, uh, your opening was so short that I had troubles forming a question. So you're actually going to get a default generic question. Given the fact that you are offering, or you are suggesting that political parties get, you want us to be rid of political parties, but your teammates have clarified that we are not seeking abolition, simply disincentivization. I would like for you to explain to me how what would fill the vacuum of the political parties as they stand now.
So, I think that I would agree that we're not. First of all, I would agree that we're not advocating for abolition, but I wouldn't go so far as to say we're advocating for like disincentivization. We're advocating for getting rid of like
Institutionalizing.
political parties as a legal institution, right? With all the legal privileges that it
Deinstitutionalizing.
has. And then, sorry, what was the second part of your question?
My question is, what would you replace them with? I just used a lot more words than I
with?
tried to reference the things
Right.
that were said here. What would be the alternative? What would be replaced in your mind?
Well, it will be like grassroots organizations, more various organizations, and
Those are
then
still
at the
parties.
election level, it would just be individuals who
Those are
are
still parties.
standing on their on platforms and positions,
Those are
right?
still political parties.
Vote for me because I believe in Medicare, right? Not vote for me, I'm a Democrat.
Okay, Leafy.
Hey, Hammer, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Leafy?
So, if there were no parties
That's
and
okay.
you're not abolishing it, but the legal institution, what would stop a corporation from creating something on the lines of an industry plant, like,
Nothing.
installing or finding somebody in a community and paying to make sure that this person seems like,
Nothing.
what people view Bernie Sanders as?
If citizens form
Right.
a taxpayer coalition that
So
recruits candidates,
obviously, like we can.
publish a
There's never going to
slate,
be no funding.
do
In
you shut it
politics here.
down? If yes,
Corporations will
how
still
is
have
that
the
not
ability to
suppressing
fund
association?
and maybe even give a
If
living
not,
wage
why
to
is it
them.
not party
But
with
we can
different
have
stationery? That's
along the
literally
lines
all it
of
needs to be
how
said.
we have monopoly laws preventing corporations from
No, we don't. No, we
like
don't.
covering like having an entire control of a market. We can prevent organizations and companies from preventing anyone except for their candidates
It can.
to exist within
Removing
the
political
states
parties
that
in the
they're
institutional
being nominated. So if they're saying like, oh,
government
we're going
side
to
of
go to
it
all these
would
press
reduce
companies and
transparency
make sure
though
they're
and
the
make
only ones
money
getting
more
press, or
more
oh,
associated.
we're gonna like come together with all these other companies and make sure only these people are the ones getting funding, and we're not going to let anyone else get funding from other sources. Stuff like that. That would be like that would be along the lines of what we have for monopoly laws.
And let's cheat.
I'm going to apologize in advance because I feel like my question's unfair, and I don't think we should judge you too harshly because it's a kind of a it's a big ask. I'm going to just preface that. At one point, you had mentioned that petty team sports get in the way, making negotiations impossible.
They also are the
What's
best
the
way
biggest
cooperation happens.
example of legislation that would pass with bipartisan support, if not for these petty team sports?
Psychology
Well,
says
if
you can't
we
answer
were
this.
to get away from like people fighting each other to get one over on the other party,
This
like off the
is
top of my head, I would use the example I
not
used
a
in my
good
opening,
answer.
which is government shutdowns. We saw the last one,
This is
where
a deflection now. This
like
is
the
irrelevant.
Republican
It's not a good
Congress
answer.
was, or I would say it's more the Republican Congress. People would disagree, but both parties were coming forth with their solutions, and neither of them were willing to budge whatsoever on their position and their put forward policy. And there was a lot of
Both concessions.
shenanigans where like the Republican Party put forth their counteroffer at the very last minute, stuff like that. Again, like it's a huge, massive thing to have
That's
a
how you get
government shutdown,
bipartisan
and
bills
they were
passed.
letting it go by to get one over on their political opponent.
This would still happen without Democrat Republican names hovering above them.
Last but not least, Circa. In your opening, you alluded to the fact that getting rid of the political parties would create a situation where the vast majority of voters would be undereducated in the correct way to vote.
Not correct.
Implying that
just informed.
I'm sorry. Okay, would be ill-informed voters. That's it. What that sounds like to me is that you don't think that the average person is capable of informing themselves sufficiently for democracy to work. So my question to you is, do you, Circa, believe that democracy is a myth?
No. I said the barrier to entry. So it's not that people aren't capable, it's that realistically they would be underinformed because parties, because of their cooperative nature, they're also the biggest strengths of political parties are its biggest weakness. So parties allow for cooperation. That is a fact. There's tons of evidence for this. And the best way to make sure that people get informed is through parties, unfortunately. People thinking the same thing, joining coalitions together, associating. Without that, an individual who's thinking specifically on an individual level, trying to vote, it's unreasonable to assume that they would have all of the information when all they're doing is voting for themselves on an individual level. It's hard for them to care even. So it's not that they're not capable. It's just realistically they would there'd be extreme cooperation issues, which would lead to less information for people.
I just want you to know that I have a follow-up question that I don't get to ask you, and that bothers me. Even though it's my own fucking rules, I gotta follow them. Lethe, your turn, sir. Ask the question. I was
do it
thinking,
anyway
please.
because it's Circa and ooh wee. So let me get to my questions. So basically, the idea that you put forward is that either way, parties will form naturally, and this is just a psychological conclusion based on the data. Is it a subversion of nature that the two-party system is the primary system at the moment?
Subversion of nature? As in, like, it's not a natural way to go? Or what natural way it should be?
I mean, considering the idea that people would be forming parties all over, the fact that the two-party system, like Republicans and Democrats, are the two primary, and nothing else really gets the same level of deference.
So the problem here is, and I like your question, Leafy. It's just the prompt is very specific, right? It says get rid of, which means banning or materially suppressing citizens' ability to form political associations. So I do think it is subversion in a way that the United States only has a two-party system. There are plenty of ways in which we could fix this to correct that. I don't think it's relevant to this debate, though.
That's Chief. Last question.
As I had mentioned in a previous, in an earlier question to another debater, they had mentioned that without political parties, there'd be more grassroots organization, interest groups, and coalitions. Is this just political parties with extra steps or getting?
It's just a different label. 100%. Sorry. I didn't mean to answer so fast.
No, you answered the question. You answered the question. That's what he wanted you to do. So, all right, cool stuff. So, I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 minutes back on the clock now that we've gotten through all of the questions, which I actually really enjoyed that section. I hope that the judges aren't too mad at me for making them work this time, but I feel like that was super productive. I have 3 minutes on the clock. We're going to go back through in the same order for closings. That means we're starting back all the way at UK. 3 minutes will start whenever you start your close.
Already. I know that this isn't a one solution to fix all problems, and I haven't said that it will. We have to tackle a lot of things, such as the Citizens United in the room, do away with national popular vote interstate
So,
compacts, have
Oblivious.
single bill issue bills to vote on.
Direct democracy
ranked
still
choice
naturally
or
would
shared
have political
voting.
parties.
It's a system that relies on
It's
other
a fact.
systems,
And
but
because of the way
if your
humans,
car has multiple problems, you don't just not fix one. You start fixing one at a time.
there's
so
a lot
the
of
car
evidence
can
for this. Okay.
eventually run properly. A mile is not run in one step, but rather one step at a
The
time.
problem here
to
is
reach the
like
end goal.
political parties
are
happen
inward
naturally.
politics that allow a
Whatever
politician
label you
to
want to
avoid
call them.
accountability for their poor
I don't think we should get rid of
representation
them.
and
We
use
need
funds and
to.
influence
We
to
can
strong-arm you into voting
change
for
the way we vote, ranked choice
party,
voting. We
their
could,
government,
do a
use
bunch of
their
things that aren't get rid
legislation to
of
make
people's
you go through their
ability to
candidate,
associate,
sometimes
which
even
is a very
using
good way to
your
have
money.
cooperation.
Because if you don't, then you don't even get a say at all.
Which is something
This
they're not
is
arguing for. They're not
a
arguing
proposal
for
from my
the
side
prompt.
for
They're arguing for
decentralization, because I think we all
relabel.
agree that we've had too
If
much
the prompt
government
was
control
America
in our
should
lives.
should
And
relabel
I
political
thought an
parties,
anarchist
or
like
America
Gorp
should
would
reform,
agree. It's unfortunate
fine.
he doesn't.
I would be on the other
This
side.
isn't a radical idea either. This is something that has been tried before in America. Nebraska already does it for their state legislator. 80% of local elections are ran. Remember that. The most trustworthy and most favored form of our government is ran on non-partisan ballots. They exist.
They still have political parties.
They work, and they work better than how our government is
They
working
still
now.
have political parties.
How do we get the
I
money?
don't know what you're saying.
Grassroots funding, donations, raising campaigns.
Those are all
How would
political
we
parties,
coordinate?
just different name.
I mean, how would
I don't
they
even know what to say.
coordinate? Well, their purpose is to propose and vote on bills, not coordinate how to redistrict.
They
rig
coordinate
elections
how
and
to
make
do
sure
that, how to
their
make
candidate
bills.
gets
These
an
are
upper
all
hand
political
in the
parties
next
still.
election.
I'm
How
losing
would
my
you
mind.
be able to balance the funding? Well, we would address the Citizens United. We allow voucher system programs like they do in Japan and are now testing in Seattle and rolling it out. How would voters be informed? Well, I would say they're already not informed, since they're looking at it and they're like, okay, red or blue. I guess I'll vote for whichever team I think I might vaguely like.
Again,
Ask any Trump supporter
political
what
party
Trump's policies are. They will not
is
give you an
any
answer. Ask
association
any
of
Biden supporter what his
individuals
policies were
forming
at the end of
together
his term. They
to
will not give you an
advance
answer. This causes a person
an activity
to
or
look
something they
and
want,
actually
or
listen and be a
similar
little bit
ideas.
more informed on their vote.
They're
and
getting
foreign
stuck on the
policy.
idealism
Government
of
isn't
getting rid of the
meant
two-party
to sit
system.
there and coordinate to fuck you. It's meant to represent you. It's simple. People run elections, not parties. Vote on issues, not party lines. They represent us. We shouldn't capitulate to who
Does that
they
make sense?
choose. Simply put.
All right, landed it right on the money too. 3 minutes is on the clock for you, Gorbs. Follow that up, bud.
Simply put, this prompt was about whether or not we should remove physical parties. This means a full, not partial removal, not taking a party label off of a ballot, not making them obsolete over time, removal of the party. This is something that none of our opponents have actually addressed, something that none of them have actually agreed with, which should say enough about their positions. No one adequately defended the First Amendment violation aside from to just say, let's change the Constitution, which, first of all, would not have the support of the American people, I don't believe. I don't think you could convince the American people or our politicians to diminish the First Amendment. At the end of the day, even if that were to happen and we were not to be allowed to have political parties, people will still continue to form groups. People will still continue to say, hey, I agree with you on these policies. Let's hang out together. And this will continue to grow until we have parties yet again. If they're made illegal, they will just become underground. You lose every form of visibility and oversight oversight
Parties are not
over
bad.
political parties by
Parties
making it
are
legal.
how you coordinate and get
To
stuff
what
done.
Kay just said,
Again,
where
the
voters
biggest strength
currently
of
are
political
on
parties
the
is also its
vote
biggest
red
weakness.
red or blue, I'll vote for whichever one I like. That's the exact
Important.
point. Most of these voters have a couple issues that they actually care about, and they know which party vote the way that they want on that issue. You're not going to get a more informed populace by having no red or blue or libertarian. You're going to get people that just don't vote. You're going to reduce our already generally pretty low turnout by making it harder for voters to actually figure out who they like. We would also, again, as I said before, and as my opponents haven't really been able to say anything about, you would also be removing the ability
Yeah.
for any
We need to reform political
organization,
parties, so we need
a
to
DSA,
reform it with voting
a
reforms,
libertarian group,
institutionalization reforms,
fucking neo-Nazi group. You'd be removing the
and
ability for
remove the
any of them
barriers
to be able to
for
organize
state
together and
qualifications
try
and
to
federal
get on a ballot.
qualifications.
At the end, the
That is not what
individual
this
people
prompt
here
says, though.
would not
So,
be getting any support
mean,
if it were not for
if you
the
want to
groups that
remove
back them.
political
The
parties
only reason
in general,
that
not just
Zoran
remove the
Mamdani
qualification for it,
is
you are
the
essentially
mayor of New York City
violating the
right now
First
is because
Amendment,
the DSA, the
the
Democratic
right to
Socialists
associate.
Party, supported him and backed him the entire way. Thank you.
The clock is now yours. Castle. Castle, you're up. 3 minutes is on the clock. Starts when you start talking.
Cool. Yeah. So I know that the word get rid of has caused the other side to believe that means that you have to ban something. Remember, we don't need to ban a political party to get rid of them. We can simply outgrow them. And I would point to a specific instance that happened back in the election in 2024 during the Nevada Republican nominating cycle. The state ended up with two separate contests, a state run primary and a party organized caucus, because the party leadership chose to ignore the primaries and instead hold their own delegate awarding process. As a result, the candidate most Republicans actually rallied behind in the later caucus wasn't even on the primary ballot. And in the primary, the none of these candidates option beat the only major candidate on the ballot, which was Nikki Haley at the time. That confusion was not an accident. It was a product of the party rules and incentives, not voter priorities, because most voters aren't thinking about caucuses versus primaries. They're thinking about housing costs, healthcare, jobs, and fairness. And yet the system still funnels them into gimmicky contests that reward party insiders and organizational maneuvering while ignoring the independent voters what independent voters actually care about. So we don't have to chase corporations out of sports stadiums. We can make parties a worse option for voters by designing a system that rewards transparency, accessibility, and individual accountability instead. Because right now, what the parties have designed is what the rules are. So we can reverse the rules that the parties have created. When people see that candidates succeed by addressing real policy concerns, not by gaming party structures, political parties naturally lose their leverage. That's how you outcompete them and restore power to party policy focused voters, because a system that empowers people instead of machines is ultimately the best defense against tribalism and dysfunction. That's it.
Okay. Now it's 3 minutes to you, Vigilante. Start it when you're ready.
It has become increasingly clear that the affirmative position is not to get rid of political parties, but to deinstitutionalize them, which is not a clear answer on the prompt. This is just take the parties out of the open and make them operate behind closed doors. Kay stated during the Q&A section that we would get rid of committees as part of this. Committees are a key aspect of political organization. Committees are literally how we flesh out bills before they hit the floor of Congress. The idea that removing coordination would be a good thing is absolutely absurd and comes from a fundamental lack of understanding of how politics works. In order to write a bill, you have to have organization and cooperation, let alone in order to pass said bill. Politics is a social game. You have to make 269 people agree on an issue, 51 in the Senate, 218 in the House. In order to get a large number of people like this to agree on something and to pass it, you have to have organization in order to make sure the solution meets the agenda of everybody involved to the extent that it can. The largest part of this debate is that it seems like the affirmative thinks that it would be effective, would be more effective to remove altogether the parties altogether than to expand the systematic access of other political parties to be able to access the system. I would argue that it would be more effective for us to remove the polling aspects for getting on the ballot and require all states to list candidates from all parties who want to throw a dog into the race, alongside institutionalizing some form of ranked choice voting. The coalitions that would form by removing parties would be no different than the parties that we have now. They would be the same in-group and out-group system that we already have, just with less visibility on what the groups are doing behind closed doors. Politics is a social system and a social game. It is a team sport by nature. With the way we have it set up now, we already see the effects of having broad sweeping political ideals set up on the main stage. You have the progressives and the liberals in the Democratic Party that form two separate blocks. You have the neocons and MAGA for the GOP that form two separate blocks. Removing political parties would only worsen this problem by removing the allegiance that party members have to their parties. The only way to solve this would be to expand the access for other parties to access the voting system, not to remove parties altogether.
Now, that was Vigilante. We're up there to
Oh,
Hammer.
yes, you can.
Hammer, 3 minutes is on the clock.
Yes,
Give
you
us your
can.
close.
Okay.
Political
so
parties will
it seems
happen
the-
whether you like
the
them or not.
Opposition has two somewhat
That is
contradictory points.
Human psychology,
and
which
I'll
means
address the
they're
first
now
one,
going to
which
be
is that,
behind closed
well,
doors.
political parties are a good thing because the voters are so uninformed and so incapable of making a decision
Just
that
wrong,
they
man.
need a party to bundle up all their ideas, or else they'll be completely incapable of making a decision.
That's a straw man in my argument.
I think anyone, if they're being honest, would agree that it's not to that level. While they're not completely informed on all aspects of a policy or a politician, every single or most people, the average person, I would say about 80% of the people who vote have a position on most policy,
How
most
do you think
major
they get
policy
those?
that is being pushed, right? And the second position is that, well, it is a bad thing. Corruption, organization, people coming together and forming organizations is kind of a bad thing because it does create polarization. But we can't do anything to stop it. Ending all these privileges and all these positions that political parties have isn't enough because people will still gather anyways, and it's not enough, right? Which kind of shows the weakness of their position, where they don't even really support political parties as an organization or
Straw man is a
as
contextual
existence,
informal fallacy
very
where
strong.
you
And
try to
they're
attack someone's
kind of
argument
trying to
by
strawman us
attacking
and pigeonhole us by
a
saying,
reduced
well, if we
or
want to be against political
kind
parties,
of
then we have to
made up
absolutely
version of their
advocate for
argument.
the most extreme
Contextual
measures
informal
to
fallacy.
outlaw them. We need to
I never said people are so
almost
stupid they can't do
have
politics.
raids on any kind of organization or any kind of meeting that anyone
Mhm.
does over politics. And I think that is absurd. And I think that is really
It is absurd to
unfair,
think people are
and
just too stupid to
and
do
it places
politics.
political
Right.
parties as just organizations, groups of people who are coming together and agreeing on politics. And that's obviously not what they are. Political parties are major establishments that are supported by the government and have a hold on
Institutionalized.
the electoral process. Getting rid of their hold on the electoral process would remove political parties as they exist today.
No, it would not.
And
That is just
doing
false.
so
I don't even know
would
how
be
to say
enough,
that. That is just
say,
unimaginably stupid.
remove
I
what
don't
we
get
have as political
how
parties.
these people don't
Obviously,
understand.
nobody supports
People
getting
will
rid of
make
any
political
kind of
parties,
political
whether or not it says them or
any
not.
grassroots movement, any communion of people.
I'm
Okay,
losing my
that is
mind right
my
now.
closing.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, Circa. It is you to bring it home. Put a cherry on top for us, bud.
All right. So, I want to say that this debate felt like I was chasing the various different versions and definitions of this specter, and that specter being the affirmatives conclusion, which even at this point I feel like is unclear. There's tons of evidence to show that political parties, even if we decided to, I guess, hope that they would go away, is not the case. Just by nature of how humans act socially. And I want to say if their plan is constitutional, parties do not disappear. And if their plan makes parties disappear, it is not constitutional. They're trying to solve factions by banning factions. And a free system channels association. It does not ban them. It does not just remove them or pretend they don't exist, because they do. And I'm just going to bring it back to the main problems we're kind of having here. Get rid of means banning or materially suppressing citizens' abilities to form durable political associations that recruit, endorse, coordinate candidates, plan, and that requires state coercion, and it triggers serious First Amendment issues. If you think that we can just deinstitutionalize them, then you are failing the prompt. And the only way to get rid of political parties, at least in the affirmative's eyes, is to downgrade associational freedom because they think that it will work. Then the cure is worse than the disease in this case. And that's my closing.
Right. Well, that concludes tonight's debate, kids. I am going to immediately drop. I think everybody who's streaming is sharing chat right now. So you guys can all, yes, absolutely, round of applause. Square of applause, too. Fuck it, I don't even care if it's triangle. So click that link in the chat. Give us your vote. Remember, the affirmative is the yes vote. You agree with the prompt. That is the people along the top row. That is Castle K and Hammer. And if you go with the no, that is you preferred the negatives arguments. That is the bottom row. That would be Gorps, Circa, and Vigilante. So this was a big one, and this was a new format. I hope everybody liked the format. I love the 3v3 format. It is kind of my preference. I know a lot of y'all asked for more of the 1v1s. That's why I've been focusing on the 1v1s, but it's really nice to get back to this from time to time. And with that said, the new back and forth and without the open cross yelling at each other and talking over each other, I felt like everybody was able to really get their thoughts out and articulate their positions. Although some people wish that they could have articulated a little longer, I think. So I'm just sitting here running my mouth to give Lethe and Chief a couple more seconds here to think this through.
Right.
This one's going to be a little different because of the fact that we haven't really done much of the 3v3s with the 10-point scale. And we're not implementing because we're still figuring out the rubric for judge votes. I'm going to have a meeting with my judges to see what they all agree on. But since Lethe was going first alphabetically, I'm going to look at Let's Chief to render his judgment first. Everybody, one more time in chat before the judges start speaking, please click that link and weigh in who you think was the most persuasive team tonight. Let's Chief, where'd you land, bud?
I did really enjoy the debate tonight. I feel like the format changes actually did lead to more productive conversation and getting able to actually hear ideas without it needing to escalate into some weird performative shitstorm. So props to all of you for making it a good event.
Well, thank you
As
for doing
far
that.
as my scoring goes, again with the 10-point scoring system, I'm giving it a second thought. I'm giving it. I'm giving it
suspense.
4 to 6. So 6 to the negative
For
side.
the negative. All right. And
I
what was your
feel
logic
like
there?
I feel like there was a lot of good ideas on the affirmative side, but for me, I feel like they could have been more aligned and full chested to not dance around the idea of what getting rid of a political party actually means and looks like. I feel like because of that, we were kind of chasing the ball a little bit, trying to find out where it was going. Is it abolished? It is, it isn't. And so just I would have liked to see more alignment in advance on the team so that they could have kind of locked arms and attacked the idea together. And because of that, it got a little bit flimsy, but I don't feel like they met the requirement to defend the prompt in my mind to that. I feel like we kind of went over a lot in the questions. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, so that's it. 4-6.
All right.
We
Very
could go
cool.
over more in the afters if anyone
Yeah,
has
I was about to say,
questions.
yeah, we're gonna peel it apart like an onion here in a minute. So, Lethe, it is your turn, sir. What'd you think of this? What'd you come up with and why?
I initially scored it 2-8, but then Gorps just ruined all that. So I'm gonna just go ahead and score it 3-7. Uh, affirmative 3, negative 7. Mostly
Okay.
because
Fucking Gorps.
all the ideas put forward by the negative were never adequately addressed by the affirmative side. The issue with the First Amendment, and yeah, it's okay to say you can amend the Constitution, but what are you going to amend the Constitution to? That wasn't fleshed out enough. Um, Based on Circa, for the most part, the idea that it's not a full abolition, as these parties are going to grow naturally, no matter what you do, and this would just cause more shadow play for the most part, and less coordination and less understanding of what the parties are representing. Pretty much shows the primary issue of why I have to score it in that way.
All right.
Oblivious. If you want to know what I
Well,
do, I abuse prompts.
So then, in that case, I want to give you all a couple seconds to
I take
lock
prompts
in
and I
those
make
two
them
votes.
go ooh,
We've got almost 40 viewers out there. I sure hope I get it.
because I really do
almost
agree
all
with
y'all
the
vote.
affirmative here. I hope
It's
you know.
free. There's no reason that you didn't.
In a way,
Just fucking do it, even though it doesn't matter.
like
Just like
idealistically, I
vote
do
in
believe
America.
that political parties
But
need to
I would like
be
to see where you guys landed.
far less
And
centralized
and
than
we
the
do
two.
keep scores, so it matters in the long
Like
run
that's
for
my
ranking
position. It's
purposes.
just
While you
Wait, what
guys
was the
are
score?
what do you mean? It was 4-6
What
and
was the?
3-7. So
Oh, okay. I thought he said
have
something.
you
I thought he said
not?
negative something.
Oh no,
No, no, no.
to the
I was just
negative
confused.
side. Yeah, affirmative and
Oh,
negative
okay.
sides. So yeah, he did not take away points that Chief gave you, bud.
I was like, what is this?
No. So yeah, I actually want to say that while I enjoyed, I'm gonna go ahead and weigh in since we already know that the winning team here is going to be the negative side, and I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, fuck it. You know what? It's been long enough. Let's see where we came down on the votes. Just before I affect the votes. Boom, boom.
Oh,
Nice. All right, we got a good spread of votes, and it's pretty close, but it is 6-4 for the negative. That's what we wanted to see. So that is a shutout, unfortunately. The audience agrees with the judges.
I
Let me
practice
verify. Let me
or
read that
you
one
I
got
more
prepare a
time.
6-4.
lot.
Mine said 11-8 negative.
I prepare a lot for
Oh, right. No, it's
prompts and
percentages.
debates.
We round up.
They're fun to
Oh,
me. So
60% goes to the no.
okay.
it is
Oh,
a
okay. I didn't
performance,
know you
right?
meant points. I didn't know you meant points.
Yeah. That's the way I've been doing it. That way, it's still the same 10-point scale as y'all's.
Like
It kind of works out that
it's
way.
like
Hell
it's
yeah.
like running a race
All
or
right. So
like
yeah,
a
it is
game of
6-4
basketball.
to the
Or anything like
negative.
it's more of like a bout of
Now,
a performance than it
I
is
just
like
want to say that
real, right?
I
Even if
enjoyed the hell out
some
of
arguments I was
this
using
is
there
a
were real.
prompt that is near and dear to my heart. I have personally advocated for the abolition of political parties for years and years and years, and I'm looking forward to the after party where we get to yell and scream at each other. But I actually do kind of feel like the audience, or that the judges, well, the judges and the audience might have gotten it right here, insofar as Kay's closing. Like I was getting all fluttery. That was like I wanted to stand up and start banging on the table. But in general, I feel like the negative did present questions. Hey, appreciate the follow. Did present questions that the affirmative I feel like should have been able to bat down.
It would help.
And Castle came really close whenever
Debate's a
he
skill,
really
just like
clarified
the
the prompt
competition I
was
was
to
saying earlier,
outgrow,
right?
not abolish. But it felt like the negative
The only way to get better
somehow,
at it
and
is
this
to
is just
practice it.
rhetorical skill, I think. But the negative was able to keep driving home that misrepresentation of what y'all were calling for, and they did it effectively. And I also have to agree with I believe it was what Let's Chief just said there, that was largely on the shoulders of Circa. And so for that reason, among a couple of others, Circa is actually getting my MVP for the night. This was probably the best performance I've seen out of Circa, and it was a pleasure to watch. So
Oh,
applause. That's right.
oh
So
thank you.
all
Agree.
right.
Good job, Circa.
Yeah. Now that said, like I said, that closing fucking K. I'm actually gonna clip that closing because I I don't feel like anybody really knocked down your closing,
Utilize them for
which
open source
was
information.
kind of oh, K's gone. K, where'd you go, K?
What?
Rage
Where
quit.
K
who?
is
What do you
here.
mean?
It's
What do you mean?
Castle
Yeah,
that
Castle
is
left.
gone.
Oh, Castle
Castle's
left.
been having Discord
I'm being
issues. Yeah.
slandered by the judge. This is bias. This is democracy manifest.
No,
Get your head-
I was like, fuck, we hurt his feelings, y'all.
Like
Oh,
OS
Castle came
I
back.
IC
Castle was
stuff,
like, fuck
like
this shit, I'm out. If I can't
adding
win,
to
I don't
lists
want
and
to play no
shit.
more.
Fuck it, I don't care.
So,
I'll get added to
my
a list.
Wi-Fi's
It's
out,
fine.
so I have to go on cellular.
Gotcha, that's fine. Yeah, well, we're done with the actual the VOD part, so it worked out
Did we
perfectly. You
win?
could not timed it better. Oh, no. No, you didn't
Morally,
Nah, I'm kidding,
yes,
I'm
but
kidding.
it's
He's
like
better
all
at
things
debate
in
than
America.
math.
Just
I
like
was
in
hoping it
all
was one
things
of
in
those, like,
America,
Hail
the
Marys
bad
if
people
I-
won.
If I logged off, maybe they feel bad. Nah, guess it didn't work, guys.
There you go. So that said, we're gonna go ahead and it's not gonna be we're gonna roll into the after party, but we're not gonna be hey, appreciate the follow there. We're not gonna do it quite the way we've been doing it. It's not just gonna be an open panel.
Yeah, they're all really
I want to
cool.
be able to give everybody here the
I like
chance to
Horseradish a
have
lot.
that open conversation that we didn't have
He does a good
during
job.
the debates. I feel like this is a more fitting more fitting time to do that. It's a better opportunity for everybody to kind of get their thoughts out and everything and disagree with the parts they want to, but especially the judges. I would like to hear as much from the judges as from the debaters, at least for this first couple of minutes. What more feedback and criteria do y'all have? Where were you on the prompt, Chief? And oh, I'm sorry, before I do, there was one other thought. uh that oh, and god damn it, two more thoughts. So first of all, Circa, the other big thing that stood out to me with and the reason that you got the MVP instead of K, which was I was on the fence between the two of y'all, but specifically the way that you took over K's cross X, like the fact that it was between the two of y'all and you specifically managed to turn you cowed him, like you turned him to where he was answering to you during his cross examination, and it felt like K kind of did that because he didn't have a problem with it, right? And was like, yeah, whatever. You're taking it the same place
It's
as I
just
would
getting
have.
rid of the first amendment
Just
somehow, you know.
it,
It's fine.
it felt like a right. Yeah, you did. You took away.
Oh,
his
look
First
at
Amendment.
this.
Yeah.
Classic Circa, has to
Yeah.
lie about what the opposition says. Just rhetoric. I have evidence. Shows no evidence. Here's my rhetoric. This is what the straw man is.
That is actually
Able
another
I'm
to
on the
stand
negative.
a position.
That is another point. That is another point.
I'm on the negative.
Like to hear more of the debaters call for that. We don't need to pull it apart in the actual debate, but just say, hey, could you give me the link to that? Just so that way we can all look, because especially in the after party part, where we can start saying, hey, you said this and this and this, et cetera, et cetera. But the other thing I was going to say before I go to the judges, I think that the judges asking questions of both sides the way they did demonstrates a lack of bias. I feel like it's really cool because it shows that the judges are being equally critical of both sides and they're not showing any sort of favoritism. I don't know how how that, like, if y'all feel that as well, but that definitely stood out to me as one of the benefits of this format. So with that said, Chief, where did you start out on this prompt? Like, do you agree or disagree? And did this change you at all?
I was on. I disagreed that we should get rid of them. So I was on. I would
So
have
you
been
were
in
on
the
you were on the
negative.
negative. Okay.
But it wasn't anything that I've thought super in depth about. So I appreciated the back and forth for that reason. Um, but I feel kind of more solidified, I guess, in that just even slightly. Not. I'm not like way swayed on it, but I'm like more solidified in that idea.
Okay. So it didn't sway you because, but you were it
I
helped
mean,
you
like I feel
confirm.
like
Confirmation bias for the win.
no, it's just that Like I heard some decent arguments on both sides. I feel like if I wanted to think about it more, like maybe I could explore it and give like a better steel man for the affirmative, but didn't happen here. Sorry, boys.
Is that your winning flowers, Circa? Good job. And
Aw.
Lethe,
I
where
got
were
Lego
you
flowers behind me too, Circa, but I don't have my camera up right now.
where were you at beginning in this, and did it change you at all?
I mean, I initially wanted to hear some really strong arguments for abolishing parties, even with the understanding that even if you abolish parties, they're going to create parties. Like looking back to early America when you had the Whigs and all these other crazy parties out there. And then we had the Tea Party come up and, what was it, Occupy Wall Street and all these different things here in America. I feel like it was far more chaotic. For this debate, my notes totaled 8,770 characters. So I was deeply analyzing everything that was being said. I'm so confused right now. But
Sorry, I thought we were all
Circa,
holding up our flowers.
Oh,
Circa very much annihilated a great deal of the ground that the affirmative was standing on, to the point where it could barely even be argued that abolishing the parties is even an effective strategy. So it made it very easy to vote in one direction or the other. But I still have to say, like, I agree with you on that, horseradish, that Circa running off on the plug in mid cross examination is crazy work.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. So, with that, fucking just get at it, kids. Have at. So, I have tons of notes, not as many notes as usual because I was so focused on trying to come up with good questions
I had a better
that I
plug.
wasn't just writing down the interesting shit. What was that?
I said I had a better plug. He's cheaper.
Your mic is still clipping out real bad, man.
It's
Like
not
it happened
clipping,
during.
it's just cutting out.
I think he's muting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said I had a better
Okay.
plug and he was cheaper.
Gotcha.
Damn. Get wrecked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
do want to point out something though. I mean, the argumentation line that like you can never get like rid of something fully seems like kind of a bad line of argumentation that I was hoping my teammates would pick up, and I was hoping someone would throw it at me so I could say something. Where it's kind of like the argumentation of, yeah, you shouldn't like you can't get rid of crime, so you shouldn't like police or create laws. And I was really hoping to like run that into the trap, but it seems like people think it's a solid argumentation when it falls more into just like truisms, right? It's like, hey, you can't you can't do anything about it, so you shouldn't at all.
Wouldn't you
do
just
anything.
say? Wouldn't you just agree to a prompt that says reform then, and not one that's unreasonably impossible? Isn't that a you problem? Not an us problem.
But I don't think we're not asking about like is reform
Would
better
you
than
say
it is
yes
now?
to a
We're
prompt that
asking about-
says I'm going to get rid of crime completely?
yeah.
I don't even think it was that. I feel like
No,
that's even a
I would-
mischaracterization because the problem isn't that they couldn't get rid of it entirely. The problem is that it keeps reinventing itself in different ways and popping up because that need to associate is just kind of like inherent to human psychology.
So
as
prompts are
regard.
important, right? Like
I mean,
it is an
you believe
impossibility.
that
If you want to know
association.
my real opinion, I actually agree with reform of political parties.
Are
I
humans
think we
not
need
social
to.
creatures? Okay, are humans not social creatures? Do we not group together in
Yeah, of
groups and
course
out
we're
groups naturally?
social creatures. Well, when did I say they weren't? Could you point that out where I said that?
They form political parties naturally. Then you can't get rid of them. That's what he's saying.
That's if you think political parties are just associations, but also naturally you do a lot of shit that we regulate, don't you, huh?
You want to get rid of association, buddy? What do you mean?
I didn't say to get rid of association.
to
That's your
deformalize
mischaracterization.
to deformalize the parties. Like now that we're in the after party, we don't have to just be focused on the prompt and like looking at the actual like meat of it and what they were trying to
Yeah,
say.
they're trying.
How do
They're
y'all?
trying to
Yeah,
make
no,
a
do you guys? Do you on the negative? At least agree with the idea of trying to take away some of the power and the formalization. Like I wanted to hear this during the debate.
No.
Well,
Like,
I
okay,
did
so you
mention
guys
that
still
in
think that they
Lethe's
need to
question.
Well,
formalize
the
as
the
well.
reason what I would like to see is the same level of power as the Democrats and Republicans currently have, or
But
like
with more
Spread
parties.
even
out.
playing food,
Spread out.
even playing
Yeah.
playing field
Yeah.
with more parties.
Yeah, but
Kind of
Gorp, see,
funny. No
you
parties
can't
would be
do
an
that.
even playing field. That's quite interesting.
You
I
can't do
disagree with
that
that.
by giving a third party more power at this point. You'd have to take
I'm
away
sorry.
power from
No,
the
no, that is
Democratic or
no. You do
Republican.
not get more association and more freedom by like limiting it. Okay, that's going to lead to worse off examples. You can't just like
Oh,
get
I'm
rid
sorry.
of
What is your political parties
But
doing?
how does it?
what?
Oh,
What
I'm
is your
sorry. What is your
political party's
political
name?
parties doing? I'm sorry. I mean, what are they doing? Oh, I'm sorry. Did they make it so people can't get on the ballot that don't associate with the political party?
You
Did
realize
they make
that
it
just
so that
changing the label of it, if it's not a Democrat party and it's something else, that doesn't really get rid of political party, right?
I didn't say to keep the parties the same.
I'm
You're
not
talking about
strawmanning you. You
the
can't run away from that,
decentralization
buddy.
of You're talking. Wait, whoa, whoa, shut the
No,
fuck up.
you're not. I'm
You're
not
talking about
strawmanning you.
Yeah. Keep fucking yapping and not responding. All right.
Okay.
Come
Okay,
on.
no. So ask the question again, Kay. What question are you trying to get him to respond to?
Well, the first thing I asked him was, "What is his political parties doing?" And then I obviously pointed it out that they are
I assume that was
actually
rhetorical, but
subverting
yeah.
they're subverting the democratic process. But then when he asked me something, he cut me off and didn't even let me answer. So I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
so
yeah.
then, if you would, Circa, do you believe that I assume you vote Democrat, Circa? Is that correct?
I'm an independent, and I did vote Democrat in this last election. Yeah.
Okay. So do you believe that the Democratic Party represents your
Absolutely
wishes
not.
or your policies?
Absolutely not.
But why are you forced to vote for the Democratic Party if they're not representing your policies?
Again, if the prompt said reform, I would be on the other side.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're past the prompt now.
Yeah.
We're into the idea of political parties.
Yeah, so
and
the two-party
associations,
system, Lethe
affiliations.
asked me this question, right? If you guys remember, Lethe asked me, and I said that that's, I absolutely think we can do this through a lot of different means, but it's irrelevant to the debate, unfortunately, for K.
Sure.
Sorry.
Wait, can I
Well-
just ask something though? Because
Yeah.
earlier you said that when I was talking about removing power from the parties, you said that wasn't feasible. But how do you? But why would removing
Okay, so
you know
now
ballot
we are
control? Why can't
strawmanning.
you just leave ballot?
Now we are
No, I'm
strawmanning.
talking about if you removed ballot control from the party and gave it to the state, why would that be a bad thing for third parties or smaller parties?
That wouldn't be
The
removing
states
political
already
parties.
have ballot control. Also,
Huh?
the states already have control over the ballots, and which is part of the problem because the states are controlled by the parties. The way that you would need to fix it isn't by turning over ballot control to the state. It would
Remove
be
qualifications,
actually
right?
federal or remove qualifications, which would also have to be done on a federal level, not a state level.
It's Trump's
Yeah,
call to
but
federalize the next election. Come on, guys.
I gave
That's
an
super
example
democratic.
of the 2024 Republican primary. It didn't even have Trump on the ballot. It was vote for nobody or vote for Nikki Haley. That wasn't up to the. Was that up to the state or the party? Right. So there's two different things going
It's
on.
up
You
to the
had two
state.
different ways of voting in one state. One was controlled by the party. One was controlled by the
Yeah, so
state.
you can get rid of the qualifications for federal and state elections. That's something that I would advocate for, I think.
Okay.
Of course, I could answer your question for why he has to vote for that party.
Please
That's
do.
because voting is simply a practical process, and it's not meant to be like the perfect expression or distillation of your essence and conscience, right?
You're also
I do
never going to
I
find a
do understand
politician
that.
that completely
Well,
agrees with you. Aside
hold
from
on. No,
Thomas
of course
Massey
I
these
understand
days.
that. I understand that. But the argument that was being made was that the distillation of policy into the two-party system was what makes it so that the average uneducated voter, the person,
No.
the low,
No.
low
It was
informed.
not the two-party system
No?
that did that. It was
Okay, I'm
political
sorry.
parties in general. Political parties allow
see.
people to
Okay.
cooperate. We never said two-party. We're okay with multiple parties. Parties in
Okay,
general
fair.
allow for those things to happen.
Fair enough.
So is Sierra the only one on the negative who was for reform? It sounded like the other two weren't for reforming the current process.
I know Vigilante is.
I mean,
No,
I
we're all
explained how I
we're
would
all
change
for
it.
reform. Yeah, we're all for
We
reform.
all would change it.
Wait, Gorp, you
Okay.
literally said no to it earlier, but I mean, I'm glad
Yeah,
you're
I thought you
changing it
did.
now.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I said to allow an equal level of control from all of the parties in terms of like the administrative control that the government Like powers the government gives to the parties.
Okay, I want to point out something here. Okay, just so we understand each other. Okay, the prompt is an important part of debating, right? So if the prompt instead said we should maintain and keep a two-party system, and I said affirmative to that, and then I tried to wiggle away from that, right? I should be shamed. I should be like destroyed for that, right? So this prompt is get rid of, right? It's not like a reform or anything like that. So when you look at prompts, you should make sure that you
Shame.
look at them very closely.
Shame.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
Fire.
okay,
and
here's the
then
thing.
so instead of being a smug asshole, I'll actually point it out in good faith what I think happened here. So what I think happened here is that the negative is referring to classical uh, beliefs of what the political parties are. Like that's
No, I'm not.
like before it was just a bunch of random people that got together that kind of believed in a similar ideology and they pooled their resources to nominate a candidate. While
No, we're
the
not. I can stop you there. No, we're
affirmative
not. We're not.
the
I'm sorry.
affirmative here. Well, shut the fuck up.
We're not
Hold on,
though.
yeah,
So
let him-
why
let him-
let you
let him
continue?
talk,
You
Jacob.
don't even let me finish.
Because what
let
you're
him
saying
continue.
is stupid, bro.
Just
All right.
get it out there. Okay, keep talking, please.
Thank you. So, and I think that what the affirmatives are going here is that we're talking about the modern conceptualization of political parties, which pretty much is political parties that give institutional power and control over the election process to maintain like candidates and themselves in power. So that's why like language changed. Like before, take something like transgenderism. Gender and sex meant the same thing, and then over time we decided to separate them to mean something else. Political parties now is the institutional side of politics, like fundraising, candidacy, and campaigning, while coalitions.
Okay, how long are you
PACs,
gonna
and
monologue,
other
man? You called me a
things represent-
cocksucker, so I'm gonna address what you said. Do you have any idea what you're talking
That's
about?
because you are.
Like, do you remember what I said in the
Yeah.
debate? Do you know what social dominance orientation is? Social value orientation? Do you know any of that? Do you have any
I don't
idea
know.
what that
Do
is?
you know what social value is?
Yes, it's like a mountain of psychology research that would directly prove you wrong. Maybe you should
Oh,
take
yeah,
some time to
research
read
didn't
it.
provide. Thanks. How about you
I
actually
did.
provide some
You never
stuff?
asked a question on it, bro. That's a you problem.
Who was it? Who was it that was talking about the distinction between coalitions and parties? Because I did actually write that down, and I wanted to get back to that.
I
It was
asked him his
vigilante versus
definition, and he
ritual
gave me a
That was me.
not
Yeah.
really one.
and well, you're right. And I actually wrote down one is formal, one is informal. I feel like that's pretty straightforward and easy, right? So that
Yeah.
said, why is it that we would have a problem with your free association if you're still allowed to associate as a coalition? You're just informally associated.
Because it's still political parties. You're still allowing political parties. They happen naturally. There's mountains of
There's not a
psychological.
difference between parties and coalitions. I thought you just established there was.
No, they're the same
There's a
thing.
difference between
They're
coalitions and parties,
coalitions.
right?
No, informal, informal. They're still coalitions. They're still political parties. We've
So
we've
a party is a type of
deinstitutionalized them
coalition, but a
then.
coalition isn't
So
necessarily a
if you
party.
deinstitutionalize the political parties completely, what you now have started is less transparency because governments require transparency. That is a fact.
Sure. Why would the coalitions not be forced to transpire to be
Because they need to
transparent
be institutionalized to do that. Thereby, you're
Yeah,
not
because,
fixing anything.
So what a coalition
Vijay.
is effective. What a coalition is effectively a loose
a loose
collection of ideas.
association of people who have shared
Yeah.
beliefs? Yes.
Whereas a party, which obviously is effectively the same thing as a coalition, is a more
Is
organized
a
version.
formalized version. Yes.
Yeah, correct.
I think
So
at one point
re-
Horace.
the-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go.
The reason-
no, please. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Finish it.
the reason why you wouldn't be able to get transparency out of a loose coalition of ideas is like it's similar to the reason why a lot of political movements outside of the actual government doesn't work anymore is because like when say let's look at the Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement, it was a decentralized loose formalization of ideas, but it didn't have a clear coherent message because of the fact that it wasn't organized and didn't have a centralized leadership system. You would see the same thing inside of
Didn't
the
it?
government.
I thought. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember all of the stuff about the Marxist ladies buying themselves a really expensive house with the proceeds and donations from the formal BLM program.
Well,
Was that not
That was
a-
the
they were in charge of the
wasn't-
nonprofit that was associated with it, not necessarily
Okay.
the movement.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that
but
was the
whenever you hold on, the point I'm trying to make is whenever you take some sort of a formalization of the movement was pure in its form, but once you tried to formalize it, immediately it's corrupted, right?
no,
Not
because those people
by virtue
that
of it you doing that though.
that
It's not
non
baked in.
that nonprofit
Can you
wasn't
give me an
even really
example where it hasn't in the past,
hold on
Chief?
that no- that nonprofit wasn't even part of the movement. That nonprofit is specifically set up to exploit the name recognition of the movement. There is a difference between a
Kind of like the Democrats did with democracy and Republicans did with the republic. The Republicans don't actually care about a republic, and democracy or Democrats don't give a fuck about democracy. They just use that name for the name recognition, right?
I'm sure. Yeah.
they're I mean they use the name for name recognition, but there's more to
So
it than
again,
that.
the parties are doing exactly what you're proposing BLM did.
I'm confused. What is the relevance here?
The relevance the
Corruption.
relevance is corruption, exactly. The
Okay.
inherent
Are we
corruption of being a
eliminating
formalized
parties
party.
though to
And
fix them, or are we?
yes, I'm saying if you remain an informal and loose organization called a coalition, then
Mhm.
you are less likely to have corruption. You're going to have a more pure movement of the actual policies and purpose
behind
behind that
I
coalition.
just want to ask
When
you.
you
As
ask
soon as
This
you
is
Hammer,
the
have
did
very this
hold
is
on,
the
hold on.
important question. This is the important
yeah,
question
hang on,
now.
let's
What are you prohibiting? What are you going to prohibit to fix this?
I'll answer that as soon as Chief's done. Go ahead, Chief.
Okay.
Well, yeah, your question before, Horace, was what fills the vacuum, and that
Mhm.
really never got asked because I think you forgot, like when you re-asked the second time. So, what does fill the vacuum? Like something's going to need to kind of fill that function in some way. So you're really reinventing the same thing, even if you call it something different or
It's a
taking
different
extra
label, yeah.
steps to get there.
For what
Isn't
it's
that
worth,
what
I
we're
don't.
talking about with financial? Oh, sorry. Go for it.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say it's a callback to something Chief has heard me talk about before, where I used to say get rid of, or it, I realized one day that if we bring in the Libertarians and the Green Party, they would literally become corrupted, identical to the way that the Republicans and the Democrats have, and they wouldn't actually solve any problems. So that was when I started to say, well, maybe more parties isn't the solution. The solution is no parties. But again, the freedom of association thing, I already
Yeah.
there are other types of associations that are outlawed, right? Not
Sure.
all associations are legal.
Yeah.
So it's within the First Amendment to potentially have limitations put on that free association.
And right now the
All I'm
amendment
saying
allows
is
for
that
that though, but
corruption is always going to happen.
I
there's no
disagree,
like
but
just straight
wait,
up.
I also
I have
disagree, of course.
Well, again, I
have
need an
questions.
answer to this.
So
Okay, like what would you prohibit? Like what would you prohibit?
I think we've given answers. You just
Yeah.
we've all given answers. You just don't think that they're like enough for you, which goes
What
to
is
the
the
title
answer?
question.
Well, go ahead, Chief. Or I'm sorry,
Okay,
Hammer. Go ahead.
What is it?
okay. We've given answers. You just like
Treat me
whenever
like
we
I'm
give
dumb
answers,
and
you're
tell me
like, oh, that's
again.
not enough. That's
No, no.
not a strong
Okay.
enough answer. And I'm just gonna say like I'll give the answer, and you're gonna be like, that's not enough, right?
Then treat me like
So
I'm
my
dumb and
answer
tell
is
me the answer.
to remove them from their institutional status by removing their control on the election,
But would you get rid of
the electoral
endorsements? Would you get
process.
rid of coordinated slates? Would you get rid of fundraising? Would you get rid of party names, nomination processes? What are we talking about? What you said means nothing.
Super easy. Yep, super easy.
Okay, so hold
Okay.
on.
So
Okay.
Wait,
I mean, he
let me
gave the
let me do
same
it real quick.
response,
Let me do it
right?
real
Like
quick,
it's
and then
not
you
like
can hold on,
he wants me to
Hammer.
prohibit even more.
I know, Hammer. Hold for 1 second. I promise I'm going to give you the field. I just want to answer him as succinctly as he is asking for. What I personally would prohibit is money in politics. The DNC and the RNC are businesses and those businesses have way too much control over how our democracy functions. I do not care if people group up and call themselves any sort of label that they want because they have similar or the same beliefs. However, as soon as they have money, as soon as they have funding, as soon as they become a gatekeeper of elections, they have immediately crossed the line and are no longer a benefit to democracy. Go ahead, Hammer.
I have a follow-up question
Um,
for you.
Yep, we'll
so
come back to that, corpse. Let Hammer speak, please.
Yeah, I mean, so to your question, would I ban like party names and fundraising? No, like what if you want to call a coalition a party and then say, should we be able to give it a name? Like obviously that's stupid, and obviously there's going to be some kind of fundraising, and obviously there's going to be some kind of money in politics. I mean, people run ads, people put this on TV. That doesn't you don't go on TV for free. I mean, maybe the horseradish wants like a BBC type deal. Um, okay,
No,
that's
no, not
fine.
BB, no, no, not BBC. What's the other one? C-SPAN, right? Like C-SPAN.
C-SPAN. Okay. I mean that's fine, but as it is, I think that like there are certain things with parties that people do independently that is fine. One of my things is like I feel like, but at the expense of seeming salty, I do think that like this debate was won and lost based on because we both tried to establish the line of like what counts as banning as banning parties, right? We both talked about it. It's not like we just completely forgot about it, but
That's what it feels
the
like to me.
judges decided that their definition they liked better, right? And so I guess I would go into I have my question for that, which is for both Radish and Circa, because Radish is in support. What would you ban in order to make it qualify for the prompt, right?
Prompt is
I'll
impossible.
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Ask that question.
I would
That's
ask
the
Ask that question
problem.
again.
That's why I
One
said
more time,
no.
please.
so
Yeah.
the prompt is would you ban political parties, right?
Huh?
So what would I
Or should
have to
ban
be?
them.
What are all the things that I need to be in favor of that goes along with banning parties for it to be like according to the prompt?
Not
Because
a
that was our
lot.
issue.
Here,
Like our
what I'm trying to
our
lead you towards right now
okay.
is that any of these, let's just say you wanted to ban fundraising. Sounds kind of insane when I bring it up to you in this single instance, right? But that's
No, but I like
essentially
it.
what it is. I mean,
Yes,
the,
I
the
support that.
political parties are just groups that can be state recognized or they endorse. That's it, and it's a coalition. So, what are you going to prohibit? Are you going to prohibit their ability to endorse? Are you going to prohibit their ability to fundraise? Are you going to prohibit their ability to
Fundraise.
nominate? See
Yeah, so
that
what I wanted to
that is
expand
going to
was
be a
support.
fundamental First Amendment violation.
Yep.
No, horse.
And
They
we
said
can
they'd
we
have
can
to do more
reinterpret.
fundraising.
Well, yeah, no,
That's
if
what
we
they
got
had
you're
argued.
right. Each one would do individual fundraising, but if we could figure out a way to make it so that fundraising wasn't necessary. Give me 1 second,
Radish.
Castle. Let Gorps, because Gorps had a question.
Okay.
Yeah. What was
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
Gorps?
This
yeah.
is
Lay it
this
on me.
is this is for you, Radish, because you're
Yep,
the one
I
that
know. Specifically
initial
me.
one that said get rid of funding. Do
Yes.
you mean all funding, like corporate funding and the
Yes.
$20 from your neighbor?
Yes.
All of it.
I do not believe.
Can
Yes.
candidates self fund?
I don't think they should have to. So here's.
Wait,
I will give you a super
No,
short.
no. Wait.
And yep.
It's a
I want
can't.
all money taken out of. I want all money. Correct. Yes. I would like it to be a can't. I would like there to be no benefit to having money put into a campaign. And the only way that I can see doing that is if we have a formalized, publicly funded campaign system with strict limitations on where, how, and how much. Once a candidate reaches a set number of signatures, we can discuss how many that is. But they've got enough signatures. That's what puts them on the ballot. Once they're on the ballot, they get X amount of access to whatever publicly funded campaign
but
systems
that
fund
doesn't
the event.
remove fundraising,
And that
right?
way,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
yes, it does. You would have no reason to fundraise, so we can absolutely ban fundraising.
No, the
There is
state
no other
fundraises.
reason
The
that you
state
would
fundraises
fundraise
them.
Wait.
except to
But
bribe.
The state fundraises
Now,
them
I'm
and
sorry, real
endorses.
quick.
You could
I answered the question. Let
Yeah.
Castle get his 2 cents worth, and then I'll go back to y'all's. I'm sorry. I just don't want to go too far past what Castle was going to say.
Yeah, well, I was going to get back to like the whole grassroots thing, and that in New York City, the mayor, when you run a mayoral race here, you get matching funds from the government up to a certain amount. And that's how much you can spend when you run. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at is like the government has certain amount of funds that they give a candidate. If they raise funds from individuals, they can only raise up to a certain amount that the government, I mean, it's still fundraising, but I think that at least limits it to a certain amount that you can raise from certain individuals
Is a
because you're
is
getting
grassroots a
less,
political party?
money, less.
No,
They
grassroots
function
is a
as
type of
political party.
political coalition.
Yeah.
It's a
No, but
it's a
but
type of
thing
political
that you're
coalition.
talking about, like when we're talking about breaking financial dependence on the DNC, like
I
for
know you guys
example,
are
if I donate
stuck
to
on two
the
parties. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You need to stop thinking about political parties as only two parties. It's political party does not mean the
There's no way that
DNC.
there's more.
Political party does not mean
So we
DNC
have
or RNC.
parties.
we
The
have a
Republic.
two-party system, yes, but this is the reason why a multi-party system would be better. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that you would have to do in order to get us to like fixing our system that we have now. One, expanding it to multiple parties. Two, yes, remove the mechanism of how fundraising is done. Three, institute ranked choice voting in some way, shape, or form. There are a lot of different ways to do ranked choice voting. But
Get rid of first past the poll. Yes.
Grassroots movements are the
There's a
same
bunch of different-
thing, is what
there's
I'm
a
trying
bunch
to
of
tell you.
different reforms that could happen. But my question to all of you, especially the people who think that it's the way it should be, how what is the purpose of fundraising beyond advertisement? And if we could take away the cost of advertising, what would remain the purpose of raising money?
Okay, this goes directly to what I was trying to say to you right
Yes,
after you
yes,
answered my
please go
question.
back, Corpse. Yes.
You will always benefit from more funding. There is no instance in which a campaign will not benefit from more funding. Even if
Unless we
you have
prevent
free
it.
ads on C-SPAN, there's no instance where more money is bad because you can run more ads, you can run more of
Nope.
a social media
We would
campaign,
limit that.
more door knocking.
That's my
Door
point.
knocking?
Yes. I don't want you knocking on people's fucking doors who aren't interested any more than I want anybody. That's physical telemarketing. I think that
Okay.
spam calls should be outlawed, and I think spam knocking should be outlawed.
So
You also
grassroots
think that PACs
grassroots
shouldn't be able
movements,
to run
grassroots
ads
movements,
because
right?
Fuck, that doesn't
PACs
work.
PACs are
Hold on,
state-run.
hold on, hold on. I'm gonna poke a hole in my own fucking
Yeah,
suggestion.
grassroots
Because
movements.
how are you gonna get the signatures needed to be able to get on the ballot if you can't knock on fucking doors? You're gonna have to rethink that. That's a dumbass statement. Go
And
on.
grassroots movements are just pretty much the DNC light, okay, or the Republican light without all the money behind it. But nonetheless, they have the right to associate and do all the things the DNC can, okay? Now, to fix the issues that you guys care about, which I do, would be getting rid of the qualifications, the stranglehold that the DNC and RNC have over politics. That will be nice, but you can't just remove political parties. It's like removing humans. That's the problem.
You're kind of
You can
conflating them as
have
two of the same
political
entity, but
association.
how do you think that grassroots funding is the same as
What does the
or equivalent
grassroots
to the
movement
DNC
mean?
funding?
It's not the same. One's
means
way larger, but the functionality of them is the
Yeah.
same. It's just associations. It's just people getting together to do a grassroots movement.
Right. I don't. Wait, what? Who's? I mean, I'm not disagreeing with
Okay.
that. I mean, maybe some other people are, but I wasn't disagreeing with that piece. I was saying that the people who are grassroots are funding candidates that the people want to vote for. The DNC can say, "We don't care what you think about it. We're still going to fund this other candidate."
Yeah,
So,
but that has
in
nothing to
terms
do
of
with whether or not you want to remove them as political parties. Like in general,
yeah,
like
that's.
it's
I
like
mean, I thought we
removing
were past
humans.
the prompt. I thought we could argue past the prompt at this point, Radish. I thought we were talking to just in general.
We are. Yeah, we're
Sure, you are
100%
being an ass.
past the prompt.
An ass at what?
You're being an ass. You're being obtuse to the entire conversation that's being had.
Okay, I guess, yeah.
And
Anyways,
on
back
that
to
note-
Radish, door knocking.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. So
How are we
I'm
getting rid
okay.
of
Yeah.
money?
So door knocking can still happen. That is a physical donation of time as opposed to any sort of financial donations.
Some
So
door
that
knockers are
is
paid.
still okay, and they shouldn't be. That should be outlawed. You should be doing it for just for the same. See, okay. Money corrupts. And anywhere that we want an uncorrupted system, it seems to me the very first step is to do everything you can to extricate money from that situation. Whether that's religion, whether that's politics, whether that's, again, all of the things that we want to not be corrupt, we should take as much of the financial benefit of corruption away as possible. The primary use of finances in politics is campaigning to get elected. I think that and right now, the more money put into a campaign, the more likely that candidate is to succeed, correct? I think that should be the problem. The only way to get rid of that I can see is to put financial limitations or completely ban financial donations so that way the candidates don't they have equal access to advertising. You cannot advertise beyond that except like you just said. Now,
Can you run a social media campaign?
I don't no. I'm gonna go with
Can I
no.
poke one hole?
So,
Can I
so
poke one
the
hole in that?
only reason that the current mayor of Seattle and New York City exist is because
Is
of their
because
social
of
media
social media. I
campaigns.
know you're 100% correct. And I was
And they
actually
got
going to
less
say that
money than the
somebody made it seem like the Democratic Socialist Party was who got him elected, and it's like no, the fuck they didn't. What was
the
your whole
DSA.
castle?
The DSA
I,
built him. That's my comment.
I was gonna
They don't.
say
Nobody
when
listens to them. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say if it does come down to, let's say everybody has equal funding, you can only use as much as you both have, whatever set amount that is. If Arnold Schwarzenegger ran against Zoran Mamdani, just name recognition alone would help him when he wouldn't even really have to care about funding at that point. Because if they're both spending the same amount, name recognition gets you a lot further in that case. So I feel like at that point you're just having celebrities or really rich people who are well known in the state or the county or whatever. Then they're going to
Isn't
have
that
the
how
advantage
politics
over
has
some
always been?
nobody.
The big
Yeah,
name
which is what.
family in town is usually the
Yeah,
mayor, right?
by
Yeah, that's
well, I will
part of the
say for
problem with
Zoran
politics.
Mamdani, he ran against Cuomo, and Cuomo
And
was
that's what I was
big
about to
name, and
say.
he
And
did.
I was literally just going to say, if name recognition actually carried that much weight, wouldn't Cuomo have won?
I think
Sure.
Zoran
I mean,
won the
there's.
name
No,
recognition as well from
He
his
kind
social
of
yeah,
did
media
because of
Zoran
the
campaign.
won.
social media. You're right.
Yeah,
I think social media did a bit. Yeah, was a big part of that.
I do.
But
I
like,
which
have a question for you.
Yeah,
Oh,
shoot.
sorry. Yeah.
No, okay.
Okay, so you're talking about like money out of politics, but would you be like more amenable to money being given through? I mentioned the Seattle like voucher program where they put like 25 and then it was up to like $100 into people's hands to be basically to donate to like campaign finances. Andrew Yang wanted to nationalize this program and allow people to have $500 that he called democracy bucks or something, which basically was like a government match like campaign funds. So like in Japan and stuff, they have a ticket system, and then like the government matches campaign funds to like tickets that are like handed out and like sold. And it's like you buy a ticket
That was your
for like
voucher
a politician,
program
and then
idea, right?
like yeah. So my would you be amenable to a situation like that where like maybe you as an individual and companies can like have like a set lip, like this is as much as you're able to contribute to a campaign, and based off of those like vouchers and stuff, like the government also will like provide a certain amount of like contribution like to match it.
I feel like that is the first step in the process, but no, ultimately, I think we have reached a point in American society where we no longer have the gatekeeping of access to the TV channels, right? So we have so much social media, we have so much internet with Twitch, Twitter, all of the Twix, all of the whatever you call them. So I think that we have reached a point where there should no longer be a fucking commercial break in the middle of my presidential debates. And I think it's gross that there is. I think that that is something that we as a government should fund so that I, as a streamer, can watch it on stream without having to have a paywall. The fact that the debates were fucking paywalled blew my mind. So if we can get to a point where we had the best way I can think of is either A, free donations, but I'm also of the mind that a donation from a corporation is the same as money. If I'm giving you airtime, it's no different than if I gave you the money to buy the airtime from me, right? So it seems unfair because now the media outlets are going to have a larger impact on who does and does not get elected. That's not fair. So the best solution I figured out is for the government to have a governmentally funded, almost like C-SPAN, but this would be a C-SPAN across the social media. It would have its own version of Twitter. It would have its own version of YouTube, and basically candidates, once they get their signatures, have a certain amount of access. They can have all of their debates. They can free upload all of their beliefs, their positions, what they could do it in long form or short form or
It's a
both.
continuum.
There would be a social media
There's never going to
device
be an
specifically
answer, right?
for politics, so that the average voter who doesn't follow along with everything like you were talking about, Circa, could, oh shit, elections are coming up. Let me go ahead and go. Because this is the thing that I found in my local politics. When it came time for me to make my local votes, there was no way for me to find who stood where on most shit. So I'm only able to vote on them based on their fucking political parties. I
That's
hated
actually
that.
true. Yeah, the fucking pamphlets don't say their political positions. It's some like
And
random
I searched the
gibberish about
internet.
like
Yeah,
I.
exactly.
Yep. I
So
ran
that
into that
said,
last election. I agree with that.
mm-hmm,
But can I
yep,
chime in
go
on
ahead.
one thing, and
Sure.
then I'll
Yeah,
let
yeah.
like Circa, Hammer, and everybody else because I know they want
Yeah,
to
I
dismantle this and they're
just
smarter
just
than
let me
me.
just finish what I was saying though. Let me just
Okay.
finish what I was
Yeah.
saying and then I'll shut up.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
but so but so if there was an equal access for all platforms, there would be no need for financial donations. Go ahead, Kay.
Okay. Okay. So I agree with what you're talking. If like you want to apply that to like a national convention or like local elections and stuff, like having like expanding the equal time like broadcast like regulations and stuff do what you're talking about is fine, but like what about staffers, campaign, like managing and like getting out emails and a bunch of other
Donate
stuff?
their time, just like a church. If you believe in the cause, you'll donate your time.
That
Go
is
on. Next
unreasonable
question.
because this is a career that takes skill and decades of
Oh,
learning
so
how to
so you're
effectively campaign.
codifying money in politics, and you think that's a good thing?
Horst,
You're just
let me
using it
ask
as
you
a
one
I think
thing.
spelling
it's good
tag.
to have experienced
Horst,
campaign managers.
under the system that you're describing, though, the problem with this is that only the rich people that already are like secure in their finances and have already access to easy influence in the community because they have like they might be like the CEO of Boeing or something would be able to afford and have the ability to run. The only reason people like AOC, Mamdani, and like Bernie were able to even make waves and get as far as they were because of grassroots funding from people like you and I that were able to get them the money they need to compete. So
Yeah. So some of the different things that I would propose that I think would work out a little bit better than what you're talking about, horseradish. I would say like for like local elections, we should require just like we do with the national elections, we should require debates. And those debates should be like I would say like I wouldn't necessarily say streamed on TV because we don't fucking watch TV anymore. I would probably say like streamed on YouTube or something. That way they're free and easy access for everybody. Um, and then I would agree for the most part on like getting rid of the money in
So
politics
commercials on
aspect.
YouTube. Though.
Uh, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't really say even like allowing commercials. I do think that for the
Good.
most part we do
Good.
need to
Cool.
get.
I agree.
We do need to get. I need to. I think we need to get rid of ads because a lot of that has become just like attack ads and all that bullshit, which is ineffective. I think it should be structured mostly to where like using the debates it would be
Because
the key way
every
to get
smudge
people's
at
political views
nighttime
out
because
there.
it's so timid, right?
And then
Whenever
but I
light goes
wouldn't
through it, it
remove
becomes
like
like a
the
fucking
ability for them
looks like
to
this on my eyeball.
have like the social media aspect of it.
Yeah, I used to
The
clean it
social
before
media
night,
aspect
unless I
of
want to swap it out for
political campaigning has
the
become
non-tinted
extremely
one, but
important. And it's
I'm fucking lazy.
arguably we're almost up to the point where uh, being able to get your name out there and be able to get your ideas out there via networking and social media is actually almost more important
make sure there's no
than being able
smudges.
to get the funding, which is actually a really good thing with having the understanding of how politics works, because you have to like in order to like effectively pass stuff when you're actually already in office, you have to be able to network with people and uh, make those alliances and stuff in order to get bills passed, which is something that I talked about a lot during the debate. Which so
I
like
have a
showing
solution
that
for
they
that.
have
I'll
the
wait till you're done though.
but like showing that they have the skills to be able to get elected through that with like getting their uh, ideas out there through social media was actually pretty important in my opinion. But and then as far as the financial side of it goes, I would say I actually support the uh, proposal from Andrew Yang. I've supported that since that whole idea came out.
I kind of like Yang too. So real quick, another part of my getting money out of politics is that all Congress people will be staying in barracks while Congress is in session. It'll be a really nice hotel. That's fine. I don't give a
No,
fuck. But
give him a shit
they're
hotel.
all uh, mm, they will never pass that. They can
Give
have
me
a reasonably nice hotel, but the point is that networking will be done down the hall because they're all staying in the same place. So literally the entire time that it's in session, they're living in the same fucking building. And we are going to have so much good security there, but no more security than we already have in the White House. Somebody said it would be a bad idea to have all of them consolidated. It's no different than the White House. So real quick, I haven't heard you talk in a while, Lethe. Um, how do you propose we get money out of politics, and do you think that that's even an important thing for us to do? Because that,
I
to be
absolutely think it's
clear, is the
important.
reason that I want to get rid of the party. So if there's another way, tell me how.
My primary answer has been like basically you force conscription for politics. So if there's some sort of testing or some sort of criteria for any particular political office, there's testing done countrywide and nobody knows if they're ever going to get conscripted. And then they just find the
Like
person with the
jury
best
duty.
scores and the best, yes, pretty much. And then they're just forced to serve.
Fucking love it.
There's a name for this. It's called a sortition, by the way. Just for
I
Lethe.
Spell
Yes.
that
I would
It's called sortition.
It's fine. I'll figure it out.
Sortion. Sorry,
Okay, just like it sounds.
sortition.
All right.
I
What were you gonna say, Veggie?
heavily disagree. I heavily disagree with that idea. That idea would be disastrous because then you get like instead of like people voting on stuff, if we're just like a randomly selecting it with like a conscription method, you could like, for example, you could get fucking Andrew Wilson randomly selected to
Yep.
fucking be
Is
in
that
political
not how
office.
representation should work?
No, it should be voted on whether or not based on what if people like their ideas or not.
Forced
Two wolves in a
represent.
sheep deciding what's for dinner. Got it.
Forced
So
representation
this
is
sortition
kind
thing
of
is
not representation, right? Like you shouldn't be
Forced
you shouldn't be
representation
you
is
shouldn't
also
be
an
forced to
idea
vote.
only a bald man would think of.
I agree with Circa on this. Forced representation is not good. I think that obviously we should be trying to elect qualified people. This is actually, I think, a problem with
So y'all
democracy.
disagree with jury duty? Y'all disagree with our
Yes.
legal system the way it works?
Yes.
I
Trial
think
by your
jury
peers?
duty is highly flawed. Yeah, I think I would redo a lot of it, or undo a lot of it, I guess.
It
Jury
seems the
duty.
least
the
corruptible
process.
fucking system.
The process of jury duty also specifically excludes people that have like a lot lot of knowledge about the subject of the trial. Like if
That's
you are an
actually
Yeah,
true.
engineer and
it's
it's
less
about
tribal,
engineering,
right?
Yeah.
you don't get you get kicked off of that jury. That seems retarded.
No, it doesn't seem retarded at all. It actually seems exactly the way it should be to get an unbiased decision based on the facts presented to you in the case. If you have some sort
Seems
of
like an
predisposed knowledge going into the case, you're going to have a
Yeah,
bias towards your own, as opposed to actually listening to the case being presented and judging based on the merits of the presented
Yeah,
evidence,
it's literally the point.
yeah, but
No,
I do think it's
right? Yeah, exactly. It's
there's a
literally
difference.
the point.
Hold on. There's a fundamental difference between how how that works with jury duty. Yes, you want the jury to be neutral. However, with politics, if everybody's neutral, who's going to propose the bills?
It's not saying
It
there
would be-
has
it
to be
would be the
pure
law.
neutrality. It's coming into the case without a bias and hearing the case presented.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
Typically, a sortition, how it would work is that you would get like case experts to like take so you have a random pool of Americans that this policy.
There's no guarantee that those people would
present facts on
represent
policy to,
the
votes
constituents.
on whether that policy is enacted.
Qualified
That's
individuals in this
typically the
case
argument of
are people who
sortitions.
represent
I will say that I think
the
that they're
community they come
interesting,
from.
but I
The whole
don't
point
know
of
if they're
voting is so you
viable.
vote for someone who
Has there
represents
been an
you.
example? I was about to say, has there been a
Someone who goes to
historical
school
example of
to
the sortition in
learn
nature?
politics is not someone who understands what an Iowa corn
Has it
farmer
ever been
needs.
tested?
You know what I mean?
Like
The
in
Pope.
ancient times, I know, but do you mean modern
The
time?
Pope. Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I
no,
mean-
even yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then like around like basically what we would know as the like Holy Roman Empire, like places like
Okay.
Italy.
Like Castle said. Yeah. Okay. The Pope.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, not
So there's
no, not the Pope, but like the towns like Venice and like Florence and their governments like actively participated. I think Ireland is the most recent example where they held sortitions. I don't remember what it was for, but it happens.
okay.
Bridging the gap.
So Circa, you're saying that having people that would not be representative of the public if even if we are pulling the representatives from the public.
No,
why
it's
would it
more
not be
like
representative of
forced
other-
coercion is antithetical to the idea of like the rights themselves, right? You shouldn't be forced to vote. You shouldn't be coerced to vote like in a mandatory way. You should have the right to vote. So you should have the right to run
Okay,
for office.
what
You
if
should not be
what if you
forced to run
tie-
for
What if you
office.
tie the conscription to voting? What if when you become a registered voter, that is how you put your name into the hat for that conscription? So you've got
That'd still be
equal time-
coerced, right? Like forced
No,
coercion.
not at all. It's voluntary. You can choose to not be part of the voting system and therefore not be eligible for conscription, or you can say, you know what, I'm just like jury duty, right? Like, isn't that kind of how? Yeah, go ahead.
Can we choose?
I don't
to
think this really makes
be in
representation of the
this- in
community
this
as good.
Political conscription thing instead of the selective service.
Yes, or yes.
I also don't think
Maybe
to
I'll
make.
sit on this now.
I also don't think to make good political decisions, you need to be some sort of qualified, political expert. Kind of like
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't really think it would lead to good outcomes. I think communities probably would feel unrepresented, especially if it turned out to be someone that they did not want,
They already do.
or if they
Yeah, like the town's schizophrenic.
Where where we're at now is that
Okay, wait, horseradish.
I feel like it would
uh,
be
local
reversed,
elections.
though.
I'm not so sure.
I literally just explained to you that I have no idea what the fuck the people I had to click stand for.
Yeah,
Because it
but some
doesn't tell me
people,
anywhere.
are
Yeah,
informed and vote
that's
for
a
them, right?
problem with. That's a problem with how we get the message out there. That's not a
Yes.
problem with like the system
Sure.
that we have
And you
now.
think, but so more money would mean more campaigning, would mean more shit slinging instead of more policy explanation. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Dave. What were you going to say, sir?
Yeah, so I wonder if you've heard of like Plato's critique of democracy by any chance?
No energy, please tell me more.
It's
Okay,
okay.
basic.
It's a good one.
Yeah, no problem. Don't worry, I'll
Shots
layman
fired.
it.
Shots fired.
Basically, the critique of
Philosopher Kings.
democracy is that it relies off of the information paradox that no person can specialize in like all information and be all knowing in
Sure.
all these different fields and expertise in order to run a nation, which is why we use a republic in order to ideally, hypothetically, promote the people that are more knowledgeable to get legislation, policy, and stuff written to do the things that they're expert to do. Like, let's say that you
Okay.
want to. You want to like stop like global warming or something, or like clean the environment, or something. You would ideally, if that was like in the public's mind, you would elect people
You would want a
that were
SME, a
experts in
subject
this
matter
field.
expert. Yep.
Yeah, so your sortition, unfortunately, I feel, while it does address the expert matter, as in the experts are explaining to a bunch of people.
Yep,
I
that's
think that
exactly
it's
what I was
still,
just about to say. Just like the committees exist now, right? Where somebody comes in and advises the board, that would still
yes,
happen.
I would still say having the layman vote based off of a sortition of random people taken makes their forced engagement of things that they might not be knowledgeable irrelevant, because certain things, especially the more complex the system, they wouldn't be able to, through a sortition, acquire the knowledge in order to actually fundamentally tell if a policy would be good or not. I mean, maybe like
I hear
simple
you.
policy, yes, but complex policy, no.
Once again, I feel you and I love it. The problem is that I know enough about our Congress representatives. I have seen enough examples of how many of them are just mouth breathing fucktards who don't actually know their ass from a hole in the ground. They just do what their party leader tells them to and collect a paycheck.
I mean, that's
They are
true.
literally just a fucking seat warmer.
Can you fix
So
that without
the
sortition?
Have you seen my
I
stream?
don't
That's
think
definitely all I do is just
what I'm
argue about
getting
it.
at is we would get rid of career politicians. And yes, I actually do think that that would get rid of those mouth breathers who aren't actually paying attention. I don't think that you're going to be replacing them with people who are less qualified. I think most of them are equally unqualified, and they admit that. I've got plenty of clips where Congress people acknowledge and admit that, hey, look, you don't need an IQ test to be a congressperson. Like it's a thing.
You're
They know.
y- you're about to make me argue in favor of career politicians after last
I
week's
know.
debate.
I know what I'm doing.
Career politicians are based, by the way.
No,
They
get
actually
the
know what
fuck
they're
out of here.
doing.
You're banned
I mean,
you're banned from
they
this city.
have motive,
No, no, no.
which is
I'm
really
actually
important.
cool with career
Someone who wants to be a
politicians that
politician
wanna
has a
hold the
motive
same
to want to
office
do it, right?
forever.
That's really important.
Say that again, Circa.
Someone who's like a
People who
career
want to be business
politician
politicians.
has like there's a motive there for them to actually want to do good
Exactly.
most of the time.
Oh, do you think it's to do good? So
I think most of the
I don't
time.
remember which philosopher was it that said that those most suited to lead would prefer to not to.
Maybe.
That the people who are trying to volunteer to lead are the least suited for leadership.
But suited doesn't mean
So
that
I think
the
that
production that you have
That's
is
Plato.
good. So the best people to lead may not
Plato.
actually
I like
produce the
Plato.
best
He's
outcomes.
good. So, Chief, you seem to be in favor of or agreed with the idea of us having or you were getting behind me on the justification.
Yeah,
of
but
the
ultimately
jury.
you kind of want
How do
people
you feel
who
about this sortition
have
idea?
like confidence in themselves
Selective
to
service
do
for
leading,
Congress.
or
Uh,
like
Tied to
make
voting
decisions,
status.
right?
I'm fairly neutral on it. I like your idea with
People who are
defunding
more
being
suited to
kind of
lead
like
may
like,
not know how to
look,
make
we'll give
decisions or
this much
execute
dollars.
decisions.
I don't know
It's not as
like
simple as like
how
this person's smart.
you
They know what
Sure,
to
there's
do.
there's
You know,
maybe donations.
professional
that's
Yeah,
not how
like
reality
there's
works.
a lot of details. Yeah, exactly. But I never minded that idea. But do you think it's at all relevant to the debate that when you were speaking about your voting experience and for like some local politicians, and you didn't really have a lot of information on them. And we acknowledge that obviously, like you're not going to fully align with like anyone's ideas, but do you think it's relevant to the debate that you were able to essentially look at their party and as shorthand use that to decide who to vote for? Do you think that's at all relevant to the debate tonight,
Dude,
Horse
I was
Radish?
really hoping nobody was gonna fucking call me out on that because I realized that I had
Well,
said
if anyone's going to
but
call you out, it's always going to
it's
be
gonna
me.
be Let's Chief. That's right. I appreciate you for it, buddy. That is correct. Yes, I was able to at least presume more or less where they would fall as a generalization, to by looking at whether they were team blue or team red, because that was actually what I had to use to inform my decision. I would have preferred to have more information, but yes, it was beneficial to have that as a fallback. So I would go back to what I think the affirmative repeatedly and myself were arguing for in the debate, which is to say that you could still have that party affiliation. You could still call yourself a Republican. They just want to change what that label represents. That doesn't mean that you were given the nod by the Republican Party. It's saying that you associate or agree with the Republican ideals. And having that term represent an ideal structure as opposed to a financial organization would be beneficial to democracy.
Hard to control.
Clip that.
It's hard to control.
Well, why would you want to control democracy? I think that
No, I
democracy
meant
is
like
inherently
you're asking to control the Republican idea, right? You want it to be like an idea structure.
already happens. The ideology of the Republican Party has changed dramatically over the course
Oh,
of
I
my
know.
lifetime.
I'm saying
and
it's
we
hard to
discussed
control.
in the debate that
Yeah.
MAGA is already an offshoot. So is the Tea Party, just like there are different flavors of Democrats nowadays. So yeah, there's already division
MAGA is just
within
where
the actual classification. Sorry.
MAGA is just the resurfacing of the Tea Party. A lot of the people that support MAGA are the same people that
Yeah, you're
supported the
not
Tea
wrong.
Party
There's a
in
lot of it
back in the day.
that's overlapped. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
like
literally
a
sponsored.
mix.
It's literally sponsored by the same fucking lobbyists. It's literally like
Yeah.
the Heritage Foundation was the people who were behind the fucking Tea Party,
Yes.
and they're the people who are behind MAGA.
I mean, there was a point when they didn't want to
They're trying
sponsor
to
Trump.
further
Populist,
radicalize the Republican Party for a long
There was a
time.
point when they did not want to sponsor Trump anymore, but I mean, Trump split the RNC and took all their voters, so I mean, they kind of had to follow him, I guess.
Yeah.
Rip.
It's really hard to
I have a
control
question
like a
for-
political party that way. I think if you don't want them to like
Sure.
give the nod, right? I
Sure.
mean, there's
Well,
ways.
but like I said, that's why we get rid of. That's because they're a party and not a set of ideals or an affiliation. What did you say, Kay?
Yeah,
Wait, hang on.
Oh,
Yeah.
let Circa respond,
Okay,
and then I'll
sorry,
go after
go ahead,
him.
Circa.
Circa, you were in the conversation first.
for what?
So the difference between an association and affiliation versus a political party.
Difference between association and affiliation in a political
Yeah,
party?
you were saying you were disagreeing with what I was saying, and I was saying that
You're
you can still have the association.
I didn't disagree with it per se. I actually like a lot of the stuff I do agree with on like an idealism level, okay? The thing is you can't really like control that aspect. It's like controlling a church or something like that, or telling them how to like do service, right? Like you said, they renegotiate all the time. I don't think the way to fix this would be to try to put these extremely like crippling or destructive association like barriers, and we probably need to fix it through separate means, something that would be less destructive to like the First Amendment, right?
Let's go back to the reference in the debate up to BLM. Was it not better to have yourself loosely associated with the morals, tenets, and ideas behind BLM than it was for you to have yourself associated to the nonprofit organization that turned out to be a for-profit organization?
I'm not really sure what the
It was
question's
better
asking.
whenever it was I'm sorry. So when it was just a movement and it was just an ideal set, even though those ideals might be somewhat fluid and not controlled, I feel like it was more ethical to be associated with that loose affiliation than it was if you were actually a card carrying member and donator to the BLM movement fund or whatever it was called.
Oh, the
right?
nonprofit?
Yeah, the nonprofit. Like
Yeah.
it was better to be associated because technically the
That's because
DNC
it
is
was
a nonprofit,
corrupt.
I mean,
right?
I would
And
argue
so is
that
the DNC.
I would
Yeah,
argue that
yeah,
either way.
kind of.
I would argue, yeah, I would argue that the association either way really wasn't a good thing because like the and like that's coming from somebody who supports BLM. Like the
The idea,
the
though, right? Not
big
the
problem
movement.
with
Yeah.
the ideal. Like the whole reason behind that is like the big problem, and then so the whole reason why I brought it up the big problem behind the BLM movement was the lack of organization, which is what allowed the nonprofit to come in and circumvent the movement.
Take a lot of money
The
too.
and yeah,
It's also what allowed nothing to be accomplished from it.
yeah, yeah, like and you asked you when I brought that up earlier, like when the open started, you asked like what would be an example of something that didn't something similar that didn't get corrupted. We could just look back like 60 or 70 years and look at the civil rights movement.
All right, so real quick, to be clear, what I'm saying is that the difference between a political action committee and a label, right? So I understand that a group or a movement such as BLM protesting in the streets is going to have some effect. I'm saying what I'm responding to here is what Let's Chief said, which was that in my local elections, I at least was able to defer to the label Republican or Democrat in my decision making when I was under informed on the actual policy positions of the candidates. And I'm saying that you would still be able to have that label and you would still have the same associations to the alleged policies of that term, like what we imagine the Democrats to stand for, what we imagine the Republicans to
Yeah, you
stand
just want to
for.
reform it, right?
You would still be able to have that label.
Yeah.
But you don't have to have somebody gatekeeping whether you're the candidate who gets to wear that tag during this election.
So
That
that
brings me
comes down
back
to
to
the
something I wanted to bring up.
qualifications, right?
Who was it?
So
Yep, well, exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I think it was Vigilante, but whoever it was got tons of credit from me. That everybody who wants to be on the label is what I was about to say on the ballot
yeah, that was me.
from each category should be allowed access, and there shouldn't be any gatekeeping.
Mhm.
I actually agree with that tremendously.
But that
The
person should
problem
be able
is
to
Can,
you
build.
can I
dilute the vote.
wait,
That
wait,
person
can
should
I
be able
just
to build
say
a coalition, right? And like make their movement.
Yes, sure.
So that's like a
But
political
now they
party.
don't
That
shouldn't
is a
have to.
political
They
party
should.
in
They
himself.
should. That's a political coalition. Go ahead, Gorps. What were you going to say?
there's currently elections all over this country that have multiple Democrats or multiple Republicans on the ballot.
How
If
does
we
that
could
happen?
just make
Just out of curiosity, do you know? Like this is an
they
honest
don't run
question.
primaries. There's no primaries or anything for these positions. It's local elections.
Yes.
Um,
Okay.
and like every time I look at my ballot, there's like at least 3 Democrats. If there's more than 3 people,
So we just need to outlaw primaries.
yeah,
If we were to get
just
rid of
put more people on
primaries,
the
that would
ballot.
solve the problem.
They have been insane. Yeah.
I think that would
Mm,
a
But
portion
would
of
it
this
not
would be
dilute?
different.
Like, so
It
I'm gonna go.
but
I'm
so
gonna
would
predict what Let's
eliminate.
Chief would say against this.
Okay,
If you've got all your, even though there is 80% going for the Democratic Party and only 20% going for the Republican Party, if you have 8 people on the Democratic Party and 1 person on the Republican Party, and each of those 8 people gets 10% of the vote, the Republican wins despite
ranked
an
choice voting.
overwhelming
California.
majority against
yeah,
it.
Ranked choice
that's
voting.
Okay,
why.
I do want to
Yeah,
piggy off
ranked
Ranked
choice.
choice
Gort
for
here
the win.
and like circle
Is that what you would
something
have said,
that
Chief? Did I predict it right? Sorry. Go ahead, Gabe.
I just want to like circle back to that local election statement where you were saying like multiple people are on the ballot. I think it's been kind of glossed over multiple times that I brought up that most of the elections we do, again, 96% of them, like 96% of the local officials are from local elections, and 80% of those are nonpartisan ballots. How do like if most of the politics that we engage in are nonpartisan, how is this voter issue a thing? We keep on going. Well, how will we know? I need to look at R and I need to look at D, but most of the people we vote for don't even have that in this country.
True.
That's not
At
true.
least local.
That
Well, I mean, you could also
And
even our wait, Anno, or okay, even our local elections that don't have actual like party affiliations on the ballot, the voters pamphlet almost always gives them a leaning one direction.
Yeah, you can
It
have
did-
a
it
leaning.
did.
I'm not against. Also, you would have a
But
leaning
that's
if
acting
there's
as
like
the
you know.
D in the part. That's what I'm saying.
y-
Is that
you
that
can have
pamphlet is
leanings.
acting like that? It
The
yes.
in,
But it
in my
acts
What
in
if
my
as
what
the
if
experience,
what if
DNR on the
each
ballot.
candidate was forced to submit to a political spectrum test,
Yes.
No, what the fuck?
and that was
Why?
associated with their name? It said their name and their politiscales.
Yes.
And,
We have
and
the,
I did.
the little like grid on every ballot.
Yes, yes.
I did also want to bring up
Yep.
something that I feel like was also overlooked about. Well, it didn't fully pertain to the prompt, but I'm curious on what people think about the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact because I brought it up and I figured we would talk about it, but we haven't touched it since, and I feel like that's a big part of like our election process that people feel is like maybe anti-democratic in general or non-representative.
so you mean like the fucking electoral college bullshit?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fucking get rid of the electoral college.
Disagree.
Do you agree, Circa, Gorp, and Castle Hammer?
I disagree with completely getting rid of
With
it.
getting rid of
I
the
think so.
Electoral college.
But I do think that it needs to be reformed.
There is no
No, I
reforming
think
the
the
electoral college. Get the
college is
fuck rid of
dumb
it.
and it needs to be gotten rid of.
All right. So
Okay,
just for the
even if
hoot of
you,
it, just for the hoot of it, raise your hand if you are pro.
What is
electoral-
this?
I'm alone here. I'm the only
This
one who
is-
is for the electoral college. Chief, tell
I'm
me
a
your hands up.
maybe. I'm a kind
Okay,
of.
I
That
know
wasn't
you
a hand
did
raise.
that. Yeah.
It's 'cause
Okay.
I
There's
wanna
probably a
reform
steel
it,
man
but
for it.
I
Horseradish
wanna
and
keep
Gorp.
it.
Horseradish and Gorp, since you're both kind of for it, what do you think about the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, or NPVIC? Let's just shorten it. Do you think that should stay in place, or be legal? Do you think we should get
I
rid
remember
of it?
that somebody
Don't know
that,
much
that
about
I've
it.
had this before. So I was about to say I read about it whenever I had this conversation on a stream, but I don't remember the details. So
Okay.
give me the TLDR.
Okay, basically the TLDR is that instead of it's a winner takes all system. So instead of splitting the electoral college votes to based off of like the candidates like percentages. So let's just say like fucking give me candidates. Give me I can't think of some right off the top of my head. Trump and Kamala. There you go. Fuck it. Let's say Kamala did like 40 and Trump got 60. The states that signed this compact, 17 would give all the electoral votes to Trump, while the others can split it where you can split it where it's like hey, yeah, we'll give like 4 electoral, just assuming there's 10, you'll give 4 to Kamala and then 6 to Trump, because that's how the votes
All right, my friends, I'm gonna get off. Okay.
Hey,
I
did
for hanging
did
out.
you hear my eyes click back when you started saying numbers?
Hope you all have a wonderful night. Though, okay.
Okay, winner takes all. Instead of splitting it based off of like
And,
who
thank you
got
for
what
watching.
of the percentage and the votes, they give all the electoral, even if all the votes didn't go to one candidate, they will give all the electoral votes to one candidate if they patch the threshold, instead of splitting it based off of the results of the election.
My answer is very easy for you. I think that a state can choose to do that if they wish, and I think that if I was the state that was considering this, it should be put up to a popular vote of the citizens of that state.
I'm gonna back up Gorps. He sounded like he's thought about this before. So
Me too.
that
Me
sounded
too.
Why do
pretty
you think?
reasonable.
I would default to wanting it to be proportional.
Yeah,
I'm gonna head out, guys. I'm just gonna let you know. Okay.
That's why I say.
See you guys later. Thank you for the debate.
Let people vote.
See you, Circa.
Oh, you're out,
GGs.
Circa?
Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate
I'm
you, man.
gonna go ride my bike. It sounds fun right now.